All right, we're going.
Awesome.
It's recording. I can't lean back. All right, I'm gonna scooch up. All right, who do we have here?
Hutch.
How's it going, Hutch?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. So I met you through Jesse. You guys are in the same fraternity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you originally from?
I'm from Ohio.
Okay. Okay. Have you lived there all your life until coming here?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think of Colorado?
Yeah, it's a lot better than Ohio.
What's different?
There are mountains here.
Okay, fair.
Less cornfields here.
Okay.
Although you guys don't have skyline here. You guys don't have chili. Good chili.
Skyline?
Yeah.
Is that a restaurant?
Yeah, it's like a Cincinnati chain.
Oh,
back
okay.
home.
For chili?
It's it's very controversial chili
Why is that?
because they pour it over noodles. It's like
Oh,
I'd call it more of like a meat sauce, but they call it a chili. It's
that
complicated.
doesn't seem like chili to me if it's got noodles in it,
Well,
right?
chili.
That seems like a pasta.
Chili's what you make of it.
What is chili exactly, even?
It's almost a soup. Almost soup.
It's like almost soup. But then if you put pasta in it, isn't that just like a pasta dish then?
Well,
I'm really grilling you on this on this chili
yeah,
talk.
we're really getting into the controversy of what separates soup and chili.
Yeah. What was your like hometown experience like?
I'd say standard.
Yeah, but like
Uh,
everything's has particular things, you know.
yeah. So I didn't grow up in Cincinnati. I grew up on like the suburbs
Okay.
in like a little small town called Madeira,
Okay.
which is I mean, pretty small. I knew a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Though once I started to go into like middle school, high school, I didn't I didn't go the same route as my friends when I got to high school.
Okay.
Because my brother went to a different high school when he finally hit high school, and I just followed him.
Okay.
So I've got a new friend group now.
Yeah.
I've still got both of them though.
Was that hard kind of transitioning?
It sucked originally,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd moved schools before, so I wasn't new to it. But now it's like I have a friend group from high school, and I still have my friend group from middle school.
Okay. Do you keep in touch with all the people still for the most part?
Yeah, they've been asking me like when I'm going home.
Because you just finished your freshman year, right?
Sophomore year.
Sophomore year?
Yeah.
Okay. So were you here last year as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And then I just happened to end up in the transfer dorms where I met Jesse.
Yeah, why did they put you in the transfer dorms if you didn't?
I don't know.
That's just where they placed you?
Yeah, I think that was. It might be transfer, and then they might not have enough transfer students to fill it up, so they probably paired in some sophomores, freshmen, just
Okay.
extra.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you like going back home, or do you like more staying up here?
I like it out here, but I am gonna plan on going home for like
Mhm.
like a couple days.
Yeah, what was your high school like? Did you do a lot of sports, or?
Yeah. So freshman year, I was on the rowing team,
Oh, okay.
and then
I've never met a rower.
yeah, well, I was like the bottom of I was like the lowest on the totem pole because
Okay.
I was so out of shape.
Fair.
So,
Rowing seems hard.
yeah, it was awful.
Yeah.
The good thing about it though is that it was not easy for anyone. So
Mm.
like I could be suffering, but then like the most like athletic person there was also like
Still
damn,
suffering.
This sucks.
Is that kind of like a feature of the sport because you're all in the same ship?
I think
Or
so.
what do you call it?
It's like
Same
a
vessel?
boat.
It's just boat. There's no like fun name for it.
No.
Oh. Is there any fun lingo with rowing?
Yeah, so there's like you have like the 8 people that are like rowing, or
Okay.
depending on what. So there's like singles, and there's like 8 seated, and then there's 4 seats. Though there'll be like 8 people rowing, then there's like they have like someone riding up front that doesn't row, and they just kind of command who
Mhm.
rows when, and they have like a mild like steering. They can steer slightly, but it's not like a huge.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a huge outcome on where you actually go.
Because you're just trying to do a straight line, right? Or do you
It
turn?
depends because so like when you're rowing on a river, you have to kind of follow the bends of the river.
Okay.
But like I get you talked about funny lingo. They're called the coxswain.
Who's called the coxswain?
The person that like the
The
smaller
steerer?
person that sits up front.
Oh, they're the coxswain?
Yeah, the coxswain. That's like the only funny term.
What? That's like the person in volleyball that wears the 6 shirt. What is that?
I don't
Like a
know.
Labaro or something?
I don't know. I'm not a huge
Volleyball
volley.
player.
Well, I'm trying to get an IM team
Okay.
started
For the summer?
no, just for the fraternity
Okay.
coming up.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I just gotta rally the troops.
Yeah. Would you do like just pickup games or jump into the IMs?
I'd like to do IMs.
Okay.
I mean, even if we're horrible at it, I mean,
Still fun.
yeah, it's still pretty fun.
Yeah. 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 I've always wanted to play some sand volleyball that I see out front of the rec. I just have never found people that want to do it too. You know?
I remember freshman year, you know, when we had to like stay in our dorms pretty much.
Yeah.
We would get like people to try and play volleyball, and the cops would come and just like be like, yeah, no big groups.
Hmm.
Go.
They
away.
would break you up?
Yeah, they were. I mean, yeah, if we had like a large enough group. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
If we had a large enough group, they'd be like, yeah, you can't have this many people. Right
Really?
now. So
Did they give you a number or was it kind of arbitrary?
it's kind of arbitrary. Like,
Yeah.
I guess it was kind of up to them. There's probably like a solid number you had to follow, but I didn't know it.
Okay. What do you think about that? Like, especially back then?
I mean,
Like, do you think that was a little too much?
I think it was a little too much.
Yeah.
I ended up getting COVID, but it had nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bad roommate.
Yeah. Was it Jesse?
No,
Okay.
This was my freshman year.
Okay.
Before I even knew Jesse. No, just not very compatible with my roommate.
Hmm.
He brought COVID back to our dorms.
Hmm. Was your freshman year 2020?
Yeah,
Or 2021?
2020 into 2021.
Okay. So, did COVID hit right when you were graduating high school?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. Did that affect, like, your senior year much?
Yeah, it definitely sucked going into online.
Mm-hmm.
And then at my high school, I went to an all-guys high school.
Okay.
And at the end of the year, like last week of school, we do like this thing called Music Fest, where they close off like a big portion of the parking lot, and then we're just allowed to like set up grills, and then everyone's like grilling, and there's music going.
That's cool. Do you guys have, like, a prom or anything like that for being all guys?
Yeah, I never got a prom, but yeah,
Yeah.
because we have like sister schools, and
Yeah.
just we're able to have a prom in general.
Okay.
I did go to someone else's prom my junior year,
Okay.
but I never got like a senior prom.
Your own prom, yeah. How does that work having a sister school? Like, do you see them often?
Not really, but it's like there's like this is like because it was a Jesuit high school, so it was like kind of religious, but it's like so this is like here's like an all guys school that has like the same core values, and then here's like the all girls school equivalent of
Your guys' values. Okay. And what's the difference in the values between schools? Is that big, or
I think that they just don't want.
is it kind of arbitrary?
Yeah, I think I honestly don't understand it. And they probably taught it to me, but I was
Wasn't interested, right?
Horrible student.
Yeah, because, like, you're not. Do they just? I've never heard of that. So I'm picturing, like, them busing you over to the girls' school so that you guys can, like, know each other.
Nope.
Which is probably not what happened.
No, I mean we're just two different schools. They were just
Yeah.
kind of they're like, yeah, this is just the all girls school equivalent to the all guys school, and vice versa. We don't actually like have like we would have like socials together, but other than that, we're not like part of the same school system. We're just
Yeah. Yeah, because you won't see them every day, right?
No.
Unless you went.
No, because they're like across. They're on like the other side of town.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, pre-COVID, would they just schedule a dance for both schools, and you just have this mosh pit of boy girls that have never met each other?
So not really much of a dance. They call it a social. I never went to any of them because
Okay.
that seemed really awkward.
Yeah.
In my mind, though, from what I understand, it's just like they meet in the gym and just hang out.
Yeah. As a school function,
Yeah.
right?
In my mind, I was like, I'd rather just hang out with my friends
Yeah.
than go to that.
Yeah. That's interesting because I've never had that.
Yeah, no, it's actually a lot cooler than you think. I would get like a lot of jokes from my middle school buddies, like, yeah, you're going to an all guys school. Like, yeah, it was actually pretty cool because there's like, I feel like having gone to both a co-ed school and like a same-sex school, like
Mhm.
there's so much less drama at a school with
Just guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like there's no one that's like popular or unpopular. It's just like different groups of people.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows each other and everyone's friend. Because actually, I shouldn't say everyone knows each other. I had a really big class.
Okay.
Like I think like each class starts around like 400 people. Yeah.
So, my graduating class of guys and girls was 30.
Yeah. Wait, did you go to school with Jesse?
Yeah, we came from the same high school.
Yeah, he told me. I remember him telling me like, yeah, my graduating class was absurdly smaller than
Tiny.
well compared to my
400. That's amazing.
Well, it wasn't our graduating class. Graduating class, we had like somewhere between 300 and 350.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot, but like.
Does that mean 50 didn't graduate?
Either 50 either left, got expelled, or just were not. I don't know. Didn't make the cut.
That seems like a big drop off.
It is. It is.
50 kids out of 400.
Yeah.
That's like, what's the math on that?
I don't know. I've only known one person to get like expelled,
Okay.
and that's like, and it's crazy.
That's
because,
like, is that 25%? No.
No,
No.
because if it's 400, 25% is 100.
Oh, wait.
Somewhere like maybe like 12-ish%,
Okay.
kind of.
It still seems like a lot
Yeah.
of kids to slip
That
through.
that is like a big number.
Yeah. So you liked having all guys?
Yeah.
Do you think that influenced you going into like finding a fraternity?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I think, well, actually, in high school, I had no idea what fraternities were like. The only, like, I guess, perspective I had on fraternities was, like, my brother, who's older than me, was in a fraternity. But then there's also, like, movies that, like, try and, like, have you seen, like, The Neighbors with, like, Zac Efron or, like, Animal House?
Yeah.
I feel like those are, like, those are so off of what like fraternity life is.
Actually is?
Yeah. It's nowhere close to that. They make it seem so much worse.
Hmm.
Sorry, I just
Here's some background music.
Yes, the piano.
I don't know why this isn't picking you up too well.
I can move closer. How's that?
Maybe come a little closer.
How's that?
That's good. I like that.
Hold on, I'm just gonna
Scoot up.
There we go.
There we go. That sounds a little better.
Good.
Because I was turning you up a bit, but then it got weird.
Yeah, no. I guess the weird part is that I think you go into a fraternity thinking like of what you know, which is really minimal, and you think
Yeah.
it's just gonna be like partying,
Mm-hmm.
hazing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it.
Yeah.
But no, it's kind of like a good balance. My fraternity didn't even haze. It was like, yeah, just here's something funny you have to do, and it was stuff that we would laugh at. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, like me, I was the fruit pledge. I had to carry around a little baggie that had a fruit in it. I had to start off with a grape, and if it got destroyed or anything, then they would give me a larger fruit.
Okay.
So I went from like grape to strawberry to apple. Then this is kind of fun. Someone else messed up, and they're like, "Yeah, we're just gonna give you something also." And they gave me 2 apples to take care of. And then I made it to the end. I like 3 days before I lost the apples, or I got caught without them.
Mm.
And then they were gonna give me. Luckily for me, the other fruit pledge did a lot worse.
So would guys try to smash them?
Yeah.
Is that kind of
Yeah, you gotta
would
learn.
they hunt you down
Yeah, you gotta learn to be protective of your fruit.
of your fruit? What were the other pledges doing?
There was Jesse was he was fork pledge, which means he would have
Pledge.
he was fork pledge, and then he wanted to do something else also, so he chose straw pledge.
Okay.
So he would always have to drink out of a straw, so he got like some metal straws that he would bring to like the dining hall whenever
Yeah.
we got food. And then fork pledge, he'd have to take a fork and just bring it to like the president's house every day.
From the dining halls?
Yeah.
Nice. So they're fun.
Yeah.
Those sound like fun requirements.
Yeah, it's nothing that like impedes you. Like, it's nothing that's like, even if it's like inconvenient, it's like mildly inconvenient, and it's something you'll laugh about.
Yeah. And it's not painful.
No,
or
they're not like putting you through like really tedious work that really like makes you struggle.
Yeah. Do you know Blue Mountain State?
Yes, I do know Blue Mountain State.
Is that accurate at all?
No.
No?
Those guys are like 30-year-olds also. Just
True.
Like,
The actors. Do you think we could bring back the cookie run, though?
the cookie run.
I think that could come back.
I don't know. Well, it also kind of depends if because you can't, if you don't want the school to catch you doing something like the cookie run.
Yeah. Especially if we did it in the stadium.
Yeah.
That would not be good, right?
Yeah, we don't have access to many fields well, actually, we have the IM fields here.
That'd be very fun.
Yeah. Just late at night, they have like the big
5
stadium
dudes.
lights shining up. Yeah. Yeah. No, so I'm on the board now, and we have a bunch of ideas for next year's.
Could you do a cookie-esque run? Maybe that's not as obscene.
I'll have to bring that up to the board because that's not my job.
Okay. What could you make? How could you make it? Maybe like a little bit more clothing, right? That'd be a good start.
Well, they kind of have to be. We can't like make them
Yeah.
not do that.
Could you do like shirtless?
Yeah, we can probably do shirtless. But, like we can't make them be like
Maybe a
revealing.
Yeah. Maybe a grape instead of a cookie.
Grape. Yeah, well,
Or
maybe we can make the fruit pledge do
a pomegranate?
have a grape, and then that's too big.
Maybe at the end of the fruit pledge, depending on how big it is, that's the fruit you get that you have to use. So if you do really well, you only have to put a grape.
Now
between
the
your
problem
cheeks.
with that is that for me at the end, like my apples were like rotten. They were like foul.
If nobody knows, the cookie thing is they would start at one end of the football field and put it was an Oreo, right?
I think it was an Oreo or something similar to
Or like
an Oreo.
a cookie. They would put like a Oreo between their cheeks. Did they have jock straps on? That's what I couldn't remember. I think they had.
I don't know. I don't.
No, they
I don't
were
think they
because
had-
they were covering their.
I don't think they had anything on.
They're covering with their hands
Yeah.
on their cocks. And they would run. Dude, the whole stretch of a field's a long time to hold a cookie. in
Yeah,
your
to
belly.
hold a cookie in place.
Yeah,
And those were football players. Those guys were athletic.
they were very
Yeah.
athletic, tight cheeks.
Yeah, someone like me who's out of shape
Mm.
could never do such a thing.
That grape would just fall out, right?
Yeah.
I'd probably crush my cookie. I feel like I would have enough force with my two cheeks if I really tried. But yeah, you could do like grape. Man, fitting an apple.
Yeah. Well,
You kinda,
yeah.
Maybe you'd have to go to like carrots.
that I don't know. Strawberry.
Strawberry's good. What else? What other small fruit is
There's
there?
raspberries.
Raspberry.
Cherries.
Cherries. You could do like a
Cherry actually might be convenient because you got like the cherry like stem.
So you could stem first end.
Well, you
So-
could no. It's like easy access. You can pull it right out.
I feel like you just lose the stem would pop. And then
Well,
you're stuck with a cherry.
depends on the grip you have, I guess.
Well, it'd be similar to a grape. I feel like a cherry almost would be easier than a grape because they're slightly smaller, right? Depends on the grapes, I guess.
It also depends on the cherries.
Depends on the cherries. And some strawberries can be huge.
Damn, someone's really going at
Somebody's
it.
ripping. I wonder if this is picking it up.
I can hear it. I mean, I don't know.
It is picking it up. That's cool.
Someone outside the recording studio is going to town on the
Come to
piano.
town. That's what we're talking about. Sticking fruit up our assholes. This is good music.
Yeah,
to
it's good music.
transpose. What are the, do like mandarin orange slices.
Could do orange slice. That would actually be easier because then we just need one orange and then like we can just take them out.
Be more economical, right?
Yeah, we're more efficient.
Do you think this would work? Are you actually going to propose this? Like
We'll see.
I'm thinking of a milder version.
I'm trying to because I have to bring it up to someone else who's actually in charge of this.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of funny ideas. So like
Maybe between your legs, like your thighs, you can wear some athletic shorts so you don't have to be naked.
what if it's an egg?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Would you do-
Because then like
Would
it's
you
like,
still do cheeks?
That's tough.
Right?
No, I don't know if they could even do that.
Like some
I think it's gonna crack regardless.
I want to like test it out right now. I wish I had some eggs.
You want to just go around asking people
for eggs.
Oh no, just ask people to be some guinea pigs in your experiment here.
Can I test your cheek velocity?
Cheek strength.
Cheek strength? What's your maximum cheek strength? I feel like we need a workout, like a machine for that in the gym too. Chicks would dig that. They get into that stuff, right?
I have no idea.
Like their glutes. Glutes are big, right?
Well, glutes, yeah, but like,
Cheek strength then.
well,
Same.
kind of. But I don't know if there's like a machine that just specifically works out your ass. Like,
I bet there is.
well, I mean, I don't know if there's something like that in the gym we have, like the local gym we have here.
You'd get guys like training all year for this event, maybe. Wouldn't that be fun?
They can add it to the Olympics if we get it big enough. If this,
To grow the sport?
yeah, if it gets enough momentum,
Yeah.
we might be able to expand it.
We'd have to drug test and everything because we don't want the unnaturals
There'll be
getting
like
in, right?
state leagues, IM leagues,
I am leagues of the Oreo
and
run.
then we'll start small and work our way up to international levels of growth.
Are you thinking eggs? I think
Um,
I'd cheat. I'd hard boil one of my eggs.
that's like juicing in the Olympics. You
Yeah,
can't do
right.
that.
Right. I wouldn't tell anybody though.
Well,
I'm telling everybody now, but they
maybe.
don't know.
Well, what if the ref has to check at the end and be like, yeah.
Oh, he smashes it maybe.
Well, I don't know.
Hmm.
This is all on paper. We don't have.
This is on paper. I don't know if you could do cheeks, like if we're doing realistically, maybe like thighs or crotch or gooch with some athletic shorts. What do you think?
Maybe compression shorts, because that way, it's not going to fall, but like, you have to know how gentle you have to be with your movement.
Would that be too much? Like, too much though? Because you said you don't want to force people, right?
Well, if we're talking on like a professional level.
Oh, okay.
we
We got to
Well-
start somewhere though.
Well, what level are we talking about right here? Are we talking about like
fraternity level?
Fraternity level.
Yeah.
Well, we have to see how comfortable they are with that. Because I guess in our eyes, we're like, yeah, we're not forcing you to do this, but like,
Yeah.
if you do it, we're all gonna laugh. Like,
Yeah.
everyone's gonna have a good laugh about this.
You could do like the elbow thing. You have to hold it between your elbows.
You could do that.
That'd be pretty hard.
I think just so we're not copying Blue Mountain State, I think it would have to either be egg, cherry, or grape.
I could totally fit a grape up my asshole. That would be easy. I think I'd rather go cherry though. I think I'd break the grape easier.
Well, plus you're gonna have the cherry, the stem.
Stem?
You can pull it out just in case.
I don't trust the stem.
Well,
That pops out easy. Maybe
I
loser.
guess I'm not as experienced with cherries.
Maybe loser has to pull the stem out with his teeth.
They're gonna have to have that flexibility though. I don't have that.
Watch him struggle, right? A grown man on the grass trying to pull a cherry out of his ass with a mouth.
No, I think if we'd probably just make them do like a fireball shooter.
In the ass?
No, no. We'd probably get like kicked off campus for something like that.
Probably. Yeah, you could ice him or something.
Yeah, we had formal recently, and icing. I've never seen icing happen so much.
Oh, yeah?
My date made me a cooler, really cool cooler, and the moment I opened it, there was just an ice in there. Downed it right there, and then
Nice.
it's fun to ice people.
Yeah.
Have you ever been iced?
I've iced. I've not been iced.
Well, we're gonna have to change that at some point.
Yeah?
Yeah, keep your head on a swivel.
Keep my head on. There's ices coming my way?
Once I ask Jesse where you live.
You're going to ask me to get a cherry out of your butt cheeks, and there's going to be ice right there.
No, you're gonna open your mailbox one day, and there's just gonna be an ice.
An
there.
ice right there? Okay. God, think about getting one at like 5 in the morning and having to take an ice right then and there.
Well, it'll wake you up.
That'll change your day. I thought about dropping an edible for this podcast and not telling you about it
It's
and
okay.
just letting it roll.
Honestly, you probably would have been. There probably would have been. I don't know, a different energy.
It would have been different. I don't know. I didn't. Maybe I did. I'm not going to tell you now. But my thought was I might I'd either be way better or way worse. I want to be the same,
It's
right?
risky.
It's risky. And I thought for our first one, I would not want to mess it up,
That's like something you gotta do, like on the 100th episode. Take some edibles.
Part of me wants to go big. Like, just
Crack.
personally. No, no, that's not what I mean. like I hit 10, and that's a pretty good number for me, milligrams.
Yeah.
I was thinking like 50 to 100. What would that do to me?
I don't know.
Would I hit another
I've
dimension, or
only
would I
taken
freak out?
edibles a few times.
Yeah.
I try not to smoke a lot because I, I blame this completely on the edibles. That so I would always get like a good buzz, and then I take edibles, and then I start getting paranoid. And now anytime I get high, I like get paranoid a lot more.
Okay. And because you got crossed one time, it affects you now? Is that what's up?
Yeah, I think it's just my body handles it differently now.
Do you think that's psychological or biological?
Probably biological, because I don't have like a negative stigma with smoking. It's not like I'm like, oh shit, I just took an edible.
Yeah. But it sounds like you had kind of a bad situation happen.
No, actually, it was just me and Jesse just playing Apex, and then I was
Okay.
like, oh, something's not right. And then I just laid down, and I was like really paranoid for I didn't even know what I was paranoid about.
Man, well, no, I've never really felt paranoia. I got crossed one time at a dinner party. Like, nobody else was really, like, partying, if you know what I mean. It was more of like a dinner thing. And I thought I could handle doing both. Couldn't. Midway through the meal, like, the best way I can describe it was, like, visually, but it wasn't, like, really visual for me. Everything was starry and black visually, like eyes wide open. Everything was like, my vision was getting fucked. And then like picture like a graphic of like red hot squares crossing each other,
I'm trying to picture it.
of just like, and they're just radiating heat. That's what my skin felt like. That graphic was my skin.
I can't say I've experienced that.
Yeah.
See, getting crossed is not like beneficial for me. I just kind of shut down. It's like yeah, too much, and then I just kind of zone out. And
Yeah. And just, I have another theory, and I need to test it, that I get two waves. Like, there's a little bit of time when it hits, and then when it hits, that's like the first wave, and I ride that high. And then last time, right before I was about to go to bed, the first wave was turning into like the second wave of like a completely different energy. And so now I want to retest it and give myself enough time to fully experience it, because I'm curious what that was. Like, if that was just situational.
So I think, at least for me, when I originally started smoking, I think my natural tolerance was a lot higher than I thought it would be, because I would be smoking with friends and I'd be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be feeling, because I've never gotten high.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to like identify it. But at the same time, I just didn't feel any different. And then I started taking a lot higher doses, and I'm like, this is it.
This is it. Man, when I was getting that heat rush, I was definitely just getting hot for whatever reason. I went and laid down in their bathtub. My girlfriend at the time, we laid in the bathtub together, and the cold porcelain felt so good on my skin. That was like one of the top 10 best skin feelings I've ever had.
What's like a ritual for you when you get high?
I don't really have one. That's a good question. I try to eat a lot of food, because that's supposed to help you absorb it, right?
You got the munchies, or are you trying to absorb it?
Absorb is what.
For me, I just watch some Adventure Time or something.
That sounds fun.
It's nice.
Is that like a good mix?
It's a
You
good
like
mix.
that?
Yeah.
I've heard that it makes people creative, and I've tried to write on it, because I like to write, and I haven't experienced a difference. If anything, I just get more.
I wouldn't know.
Do other things. It's kind of fun to play Apex though. High. I'm not. Sometimes I'm better. It's weird.
That's like me. If I've been drinking and I have like a good buzz, sometimes I do really well when I'm playing a game. And if I drink too much, I'm just awful. I'm awful, and I'm not enjoying myself.
Maybe like 2 beers, I'm pretty solid at Apex. Anything past that, I'm like overly aggressive, but then my aim is off, and then I don't listen to my teammates, and I'm like 3 beers, not good at all. But high, my aiming style gets totally different, and I get like more precise. It's weird. It's weird how that works. I don't even know what to make of that.
I feel like when I'm buzzed, I'm able to play a little more fluid. Like
Hmm.
my movement is so much better.
Okay. Huh. What do you think that is compared to you being sober?
I don't know. I think I'm just less. Oh gosh, I don't know.
Do you think you're better at games not sober?
Maybe I don't play. I haven't tested it too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something I've noticed where like sometimes it's like Friday and
Mhm.
I'm like I'll pregame a little
Yeah.
and I'll be playing just a game.
Yeah. I want to try climbing high. Because
That
some people
sounds
do
dangerous.
that. I don't know. It might be. I don't really usually get paranoid. So I don't think the heights thing would get me.
I just feel like you don't want, especially if you're high up, you don't want. I mean, I don't want to make you
Mm.
nervous, but like if I were high up, I would not want like my senses to be like altered or
Yeah.
in any way.
Yeah. I don't do the top rope, so I won't be more than 20 feet. So
You can survive that fall.
20 feet? If I'm high enough, I just float away. But
Yeah, you'll just float to the top.
yeah, the gravity will just not exist. Some people do though. Like they only climb high. I've met some guys like that.
I haven't done too much climbing.
Yeah.
Actually, I haven't done any climbing.
Yeah.
The only climbing I've done is just at the gym rock wall,
Yeah.
and that's like easier.
Well, it depends on the grades you're doing.
I don't know the term.
Okay.
I don't know any.
They're all on like a V scale, so V 0 through you can get high as like 12s.
Damn.
Zeros are like just like climbing a ladder almost.
Oh,
And then
I want to do that.
if you want to come, you can come anytime.
I'll probably take the stairs.
Or the elevator.
The elevator, yeah.
Yeah, well, I climb up.
The escalator, just take that thing up.
They have an elevator in the climbing gym just for people.
Yeah, just so you can see the top.
Yeah.
You can feel better about yourself. Like, here I am.
Do you not like heights?
It depends. Because, so, like, for me, I'm not a huge fan of heights, but I like things like scuba diving.
Mm.
Like, that's like,
You like scuba diving?
oh, that's awesome.
Huh.
And here I am in landlocked
Well, yeah.
Colorado.
You could scuba dive some lakes and reservoirs.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
It's definitely not as, like, vibrant as, like, the ocean, though.
It's
like,
probably murkier, right?
Yeah, I learned in California, or I learned in Ohio in like a pool. And then
Okay.
I like actually got licensed in California.
Okay.
Pretty cool stuff.
How many like spots have you gone to? Like
I've
a
got-
lot?
So I've gone California in a couple places.
Okay.
I've gone to Hawaii in a couple places. I went diving in like a crater there.
That's
like
cool.
Like a meteor crater.
Yeah.
Encountered my first shark there. Pretty awesome.
What was that like?
It was a very small. It wasn't like an It's not like you're encountering like a great white or
Hmm.
anything.
Did you feel any fear?
No, because it was both. It was smaller than me,
Oh,
and then like it was also just kind of like
chilling.
doing its own thing
Hmm.
somewhere else. It wasn't like touching me. I've swam. The largest thing I've swam with, and this wasn't in the wild. This was in an aquarium. Was whale sharks.
Hmm.
Those things are pretty large.
Yeah. Would you ever get into like spearfishing? Or
Actually, I really want to do spearfishing. I was in Key West in Florida, and they do this thing where since like you know what lionfish are.
lionfish?
Yeah, they're like kind of orangish brownish.
Okay.
White. They're like invasive in Florida,
Okay.
and they're like, yeah, if you like, we'll give you like spears for like diving trips, and whatever you catch, we'll cook for you.
Oh, that's awesome.
So like you can go spearfishing, you can pay to go spearfishing, and then like whatever you catch, they'll cook. And
That's
it's kind of
sweet.
like a cool little
Yeah.
thing they do.
That sounds really fun. Did you swim a lot when you were younger?
Yeah, I was on a couple swim teams.
Okay.
Though I was one of those kids originally that was like scared of or like wouldn't dive properly, so I just looked like a fool jumping into the water.
I never really liked diving. I got freaked out by the diving board. Just like the springiness, I never really liked.
I'll dive now. It's just like I'm not gonna jump. I don't like diving off high places.
Do they have to require you to know how to swim to row? Is that like a
I don't think so. At least I didn't have to do anything like that.
I feel like they would want that.
Yeah, they probably would.
Like, that seems like a liability, right?
We never had any situations where we needed to swim, but like that's probably something they want you to know.
Yeah. Does Ohio get cold? Like,
Yeah.
does it have a winter? I don't
Yeah,
even know.
it has a winter, so we experience like all of the
Seasons?
seasons.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, you probably get more snow out here,
Mm-hmm.
but like when it's not snowing during the winter, it's just like all cold and gray out there.
Okay.
So it can get really cold, like maybe not down into the negatives, but like in like the 10s,
Okay.
20s, but like
Yeah.
no snow.
So lakes will freeze over and stuff,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Yeah, it didn't really freeze this year. It was kind of warm.
Yeah, so, I mean we got some good snow though.
Some snow. You were here last year when the big snowstorm hit, right?
Yeah, where we had like 2-ish feet of snow.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was
I've
wild.
never experienced something like that.
That was fun. I really enjoyed that. Because it was like, you literally couldn't get out. You could walk, I guess.
But like at least for someone that was living on campus where they didn't like shovel like all the pathways off,
Mm-hmm.
I would still like walk through the big piles of snow,
Mm-hmm.
but like I would rather be inside.
Yeah.
So like I'd go grab food. And
Did they cancel classes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that was last year?
Yeah, that
right?
was last year.
Man, time flies too, dude.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah. That feels like it was just a month ago for me.
Yeah, I mean I'm going in my junior year.
How's that feel?
Feels weird because I didn't really have much of a freshman year.
Yeah. With COVID and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that hit when you're in high school and you're like, all right, I'm going to go to Colorado for COVID. Was that why Colorado, I guess?
So I had visited tons of schools. Like, yeah, I'd visited where my brother and my sister went.
Okay.
And then I'd come out here. I've come out here a couple times for like skiing.
Mm-hmm.
And then my parents were like, why don't we should check out those schools because Colorado's a cool place. And I also have some family out here, so it just made it a little easier. So I visited both here and Boulder.
Okay.
And this was my favorite.
Why'd you like here more than Boulder?
Boulder, see, it's gonna sound a little biased because I go to state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels like kind of preppy down there.
Mm.
Like, I definitely have like some privilege that other people don't have, but they kind of take like the daddy's money kind of thing a little
To another level.
Yeah, like I see people driving their Jeep Wranglers and their not there's anything wrong with Jeep Wranglers, but when
Yeah.
you're like 16 and have like a bright, well, I mean they're 18,
Mm-hmm.
but like have like a bright ass like Jeep
Jeep
Wrangler.
rolling down, yeah, on daddy's money, right?
We went down there for Colorado Cup, which is like we go and see like other same chapter. So I'm in like Alpha Sig, and then we go see like the Alpha Sig of Boulder, and overall they're good guys. I think there was, and we would do like a competition, and this doesn't. I'm not grouping them all together, but there was like a select few of them that kind of took it to like a way too far competitive level. And we ended up doing football. There was another chapter there, well, another Alpha Sig chapter. I can't remember the school. They were great guys. They started to get really competitive though, and some people were getting like hurt. And
In the games?
yeah, and then like the other school was like, yeah, they're taking this too far. We're leaving, and it all just kind of ended.
Oh.
Sorry, I got a little off topic there.
No, you're good. So there was, how many schools was?
3.
Okay, so CSU, Boulder, and
And then I can't remember the other school.
was it Mesa or Denver?
UCCS? Is that a school?
UCCS.
University? No, USC. University of Southern Colorado.
Oh,
Is that a thing?
maybe.
Possibly. There, again, I'm like there's a lot of good guys down there. It's just that a select few.
Was it the Boulder guys that were
Yeah.
being? What were they doing?
They were just getting like I think it's okay to talk trash and good fun.
Okay.
But when you start to get like a little personal and like start taking things a little too far.
What were they doing?
So as far as like actions go.
Yeah.
So our team was like, so we did soccer also,
Mm-hmm.
and they sat on like the sidelines, and then people from our school were behind the goal, which is not a smart place to sit.
Mm-hmm.
To our credit, that was on us. But there was like one of them. Again, I'm not putting them all in the same category, but there was one of them that was kind of promoting the idea of like, or kind of humoring the idea of kicking it hard into
One of you
our
guys.
group
Yeah.
that was behind the goal.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's okay to joke around and like say stuff in all good fun, but like when you're trying to actually like, even if you don't like have the intent of actually going through with it,
Mm.
throwing something like that around while you're also sounding really competitive and talking trash, it's kind of like you're kind of ruining the overall fun, like fun competitive vibe.
Was it killing the vibe at that point?
Yeah, we were supposed to do more activities, and we just canceled it.
Really?
Because it's after some people from the other school got hurt during, like, I think they were in overtime in football. We did football, soccer, and then we were supposed to do ultimate frisbee.
Was it contact football?
I don't think so.
Was it just flag then?
I think it was supposed to be flag
Okay.
or touch.
Okay.
But I think like there was like someone started like throwing elbows and like
Getting a little too.
yeah, and someone was left with like I don't know if it was a broken nose, but their nose was bleeding pretty badly.
And that kind of killed the vibe, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to dox anyone.
Yeah, you don't have to use names, but man. So was it mostly the Boulder school that was kind of?
Yeah,
and it was probably just like a few guys,
yeah, it was.
right?
It wasn't like
Yeah.
their chapter overall is like great guys that are like fun. It's just there was like a select few that took it
a little too far.
Yeah, and kind of ruined it.
Yeah, you just need like 1% of people to ruin things too. You know?
But we had fun overall. Like
yeah,
they were good hosts. It was fun. I think it was just a select few times that things just kind of got out of hand.
I was very late. I went to bed at 3 this morning. That's why I pushed ours a little later.
It's okay.
'Cause I slept in.
I honestly I have nothing going on, so
okay. Yeah, what are you up to during the summer?
So I signed up for classes, and then I didn't realize how late classes were going to start.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, they're probably going to start like a week after school ends. So I got an apartment lined up, and I was going to get like a job as like a lab assistant. And then I realized, because I actually looked online because I'm kind of slow. I was like, oh, classes don't start until June 13th. It's May. It was like it's May 20th.
Yeah.
So like,
you got like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, I've got time.
Yeah. So are you gonna go back home for a bit?
I'm gonna go back home for like 4 days.
Okay. Nice. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I'm the youngest. I've got my oldest sister, who's done with college, and then my older brother's 3 years older than me.
Okay. Nice. Are they in Ohio or?
Yeah, so my sister works in Ohio, and then my brother works in Chicago.
Okay. Nice. Do you want to stay in Colorado, do you think, after? Or?
I mean, I'm open to options. I definitely like it out here,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it would depend on what opportunities I get when I'm graduating.
Yeah. Do you have an idea of what you want to do after?
I'd like to work in medicine, which is kind of why I'm going the chemistry route.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have like a specific field, and that's another reason I wanted to stay here, because I wanted to get some lab experience.
Yeah.
Kind of get a feel for what I might enjoy and might not enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I just kind of want to get a feel of what direction I want to go in.
Yeah. And you think it'll be like chemistry with a emphasis on medical?
Yeah.
Would that be fair?
Yeah. My mom originally, Mom, wanted me to go into anesthesiology.
Okay.
Which takes a long time.
For school?
Yeah, that's like it takes like 11 years
Mm-hmm.
to get like actually be able to get like a paying job.
Practice.
Yeah. And it's because it's something that requires like so much. There's a lot of like specific details that have to be right, because you have to figure out, it's, what anesthesiology is, right? It's like,
Knocking people out,
yeah,
essentially, right?
yeah, it's like the people that give you like the anesthesia,
Yeah.
like before surgery, stuff like that. And you have to get, all that stuff right, which is really important.
Mm-hmm.
But there's such a demand for it that like they pay really well. That's
Mm-hmm.
like, to my knowledge, that's like one of the highest like paying fields in the medical
Yeah.
branch, like the medical field. I did not want to do that though. As great as like paying would have been, I did not want to spend like 11 years
In school
in school.
with all that money
Mm-hmm.
for something you don't necessarily want to do.
It would have been
directly.
great, but like not that long.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste that. Well,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be a waste, but I didn't want to spend that much time on it.
Yeah, that seems like a long time for something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it seems so specific that maybe the information you need to know could be done in at least 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Like less than 2 years.
I mean, like, obviously, it's
There's-
great. You want to get those details right. So I
True.
understand like the why they spend so much time on that, because there's probably stuff that I don't even know about that
Mhm.
goes into it.
Yeah, I'd imagine you want to assess like the person's body, like weight wise,
Weight and
different pre-existing conditions and
Mhm.
stuff like that.
And there's more than like one type of anesthesia that you got.
Oh, true.
Probably. I have no idea.
Yeah, there's probably different variants. I bet you're right on that.
So you want to be sure you get the correct dose, correct type that would work well with this person's body.
Yeah,
And you don't want them waking up during surgery, because that sounds like a nightmare.
yeah. What made you want to go the chemistry route?
I had, so in high school, and this is probably not the greatest reason, but it was something that just clicked really well.
Okay.
And again, that's high school chem,
Mm.
but like I enjoyed it and it clicked really well. So I figured it was probably what I wanted most out
Yeah.
of college.
Why is that not a good reason? That seems like a really good reason.
Because I mean, like, high school chem isn't like,
Oh, hard?
well, I don't want to say it's not hard, but like it's not on the same level as, you're not going to get the same chem experience out of high school that you would in college.
Okay. What, like, is it fun for you?
It's kind of
What-
like, I enjoy it when I
Mhm.
know what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, I have to learn that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, in math for me is the same way, where it's like, obviously a lot of people hate doing math,
Mm-hmm.
but like, for me, it's kind of like solving a puzzle, where like I kind of get the satisfaction of getting something right
Mhm.
and like solving something. So that's kind of how I feel with chem, where it's
Yeah.
like solve this chemical equation or answer this, and it's like I can solve that, and it's satisfying to get it right.
I gotcha. Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. I like puzzles, but I guess I went more of the human services route. Like,
That's okay. Like,
yeah.
because I know Jesse does HES, like health and exercise science.
Mhm.
Is that like the route you like similarly, or?
I got my degree in human development and family studies.
Okay.
So more closer to like social work than physical PT almost, you
Yeah.
know. But I've always had like a personal interest in physiology and nutrition and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good thing to have.
Yeah, where I almost should have went for that degree. Sometimes I wonder, but I'm not looking to go back to school in any way.
I
you
mean,
know?
like, if you're like content with the field you've chosen,
Mhm.
then there's not really any reason to go back unless
Yeah.
you absolutely need to.
Yeah. And there's a lot of sources online, and I kind of like self-educating myself too, you
Mhm.
know? So, and it's free relatively, you know? So
Yeah.
that whole part.
No tuition.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can watch like some nutrition videos while I'm at work doing computer work and be paid for the hour and get my information in, you know? So, but I have a job interview next week over at Harvest Farm, which is a farm/drug rehabilitation center
Oh.
for mostly guys. So I really like that model. I'd like to get back into that work where you like work therapy is
Yeah.
basically what a big part of it is. I think they have 4 sectors: kitchen, fleet, which is automotive, and mechanics or maintenance of the general facility, and I think like office work or something like
So
that.
it's kind of like rehabilitation while also trying to keep people kind of occupied
Yeah, occupied because, like, as guys, we like to be moving and have
like
our hands on
be
things.
productive.
Yeah, yeah, and feel like we're serving a role,
Mm-hmm.
and especially when maybe you haven't been serving a role for years, and your role's been addiction, and you want to get out of that. You got to kind of figure out a new thing to be doing with your hands that what you were previously doing with your hands was destroying you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really like that model. I've worked at another facility that was similar to that, but in a ranch setting, and that was really cool as well. Um, and that is all free for them as long as they play the our rules, which
Mm-hmm.
are to help them, in the end.
Yeah.
Then they can stay there for free. The first level is just kind of like an intro, and then we give. I intern for them, is why I know a lot about them, and that's why I also hope I get this job, because I do like their program a lot. And then we do, I think it's 12 weeks of classes, and it's actually like close to what you should be actually taught in school, which is like building resumes, how to apply for jobs, nutrition stuff, like basic, like everyday functionings,
Yeah.
like how to find a house, how to do an apartment, stuff like that, credit card, like finances and all that kind of
Like
things.
ways that you can kind of like ease them back into
Yeah.
like
Be a functioning member.
yeah, functioning member of
Yeah.
society.
So these classes they do, I think, for 12 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. And then once they graduate after that, they can start looking for a job while still living on the facility. And the hope is that they hold a job for at least a couple months until they figure out a place in the community to come back to, usually find some sort of either apartment or sober living to live to, or a halfway house possibly, depending on the person. And hopefully through those months they've been saving it up, because it is rent free,
Yeah.
which is a nice part of it. And so guys can save up maybe enough to get a car, and then $20,000 on an apartment, and then they can go out on their own and maybe save up a little bit more, and then do a house or whatever they want.
Yeah, and keep working their way up.
Yeah, at that point, which is a really cool model. When I was there interning, there was a guy that was there for over a year, almost a year and a half, getting close to 2, and he was just did his program, has been sober, and was saving up money and working.
That's
And-
a good model, because I know like when you're like some people that go through rehabilitation, one of the big things they worry about is like, how am I going to pay for this?
Mhm.
Like some of them don't even have insurance, which is like
Yeah.
plays a big role
Yeah.
in economic standing is like a huge stressor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the little things I learned by being in different facilities is the name you call the general people you're working with. And that's how, like, it kind of depends on the relationship. Like right now I'm in senior care, and we call them our residents because they pay to live there. And then that ranch was not for free. That was a for-profit company, was their model. And we called them our clients because they were paying. And then up in Harvest Farm, we call them our participants because they participate in the program, but
Yeah.
it's free, it's like different ways to split it up, which is really interesting. I like the free model. I think if you require money, you just get a different type of character. Like obviously the free stuff, you get a little bit more of the homeless crowd, or the crowd of people that don't have many family members backing them, or very
People that need to be like self-reliant.
financially poor, maybe is their family background as well. So that's the type of people you get in is a little bit different, as opposed to if they're paying for it. Usually there's a family member supporting it, so there's some sort of money in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they personally were living homeless or poor, but they still had those money ties, which is different than having no money ties,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So you get a different crowd when you do that, which is interesting as well.
Mm-hmm.
you know neither are better or worse, because they're just kind of have different backgrounds and ties to their family. And usually with addiction, your personal self is a big key part, but then the immediate circle right around that, which is your friends and family, are a big part of most likely why things are going wrong.
It's just different methods.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like if you think about like you have your individual, then family, community, the city, the state, and then the nation. Those are all going to influence you, but when it comes to addiction, it's usually like family and individual influence that really plays into what like your chances, I guess. And
so it's a little more personal.
Yeah. Like I was talking to one guy, this was a while ago when I was still there, and he was just talking about how he was doing good, working, had a girlfriend and stuff like that. And I think he said she started to be pretty, at least verbally abusive to him. And then he just started drinking to compensate. And then that turned into just a negative feedback cycle within their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And he continued to do that, and then started coming in late to his job because he was hungover, and it just kind of spills over, right? And that was just from his immediate circle.
It's like a domino effect.
Yeah. And then you get the things of like, my father was alcoholic, and then I was, and that happens sometimes. But it's always like either from self or from immediate family or friends that kind of affect that, or girlfriends or partners, whatever you want to say, So that's usually what will influence or play a role.
There's a lot of activity in the recording studio.
Some children in the studio today. But yeah, no, I find that work very interesting. I'm in senior care right now and would like to switch that up.
I've
at
seen
some
some
point.
of your stories where they're like bouncing a balloon across the table.
Yeah, and I like to be pretty active, and that's part of it where, I mean, it's just a different style of care.
Yeah.
It's not bad or good. I like to be a little bit more active and coming in, the person that interviewed me, to me, made it sound like they were more physically capable than what they actually are, which the fact that it was less close to reality was not great, but it's not a bad thing, like at least 80 to 90% of them are pretty chair bound, and some don't have control over their lower limbs and even only have control over one of their hands, stuff like that. So it's hard to do like a full body weights workout, because I taught group fitness classes at the let that pass at the CSU rec.
Yeah.
And so I was used to dealing with college kids where we're a little bit more capable than somebody where you can only work from the hips up, maybe on both sides of the torso.
Yeah.
So I would like to maybe be with a more able-bodied crowd, and the fact that like the mentality's a little different, where it's more quality of life of like, I'm going to have 10 to 5 years left, so I don't care if I eat this cake, stuff like that, where it's okay to be a little bit undisciplined, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's my end of life. I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah, if your time is limited, you're going to want to do what you want because your days are a little numbered anyway.
Yeah. But if you're dealing from like 20 to 40, you still have 2 times. You're good. You still have like 2 times your life ahead of you. And so maybe you want to shape up a little bit and have a little bit more discipline, especially if you're trying to get off some sort of substance. So that mentality is a little bit different. To like self-improvement, which I really like as well. So, yeah, I think if I would like to land this job and be in a little bit different of a line of work that I like.
Well, best of luck to you.
Thank you. It's next week, so looking forward to that.
Bring them like an apple.
An apple?
Yeah.
In my cheeks?
No, I don't. I think that would hurt your chances.
Yeah. What if that's like the power move though?
It's like a secret. It's like a secret in the business that really sets you apart.
Yeah. If I show up 20 minutes late, they're about to head out, and right before they stand up, I just come in. I'm crab walking, obviously, because I got to keep them clenched.
And then you
stand up on the table and just drop a a rotten apple right on the table in front of them.
They're like, I'm listening.
I'm listening. You have my attention.
This guy's no average Joe.
Man. Oh. What is it like being in the fraternity? Do you think
It's actually pretty great.
Do you think it enriches your life?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like if I didn't have the social network that I have here,
Mm-hmm.
I honestly probably would have moved back home.
Really?
I mean, it's great and all out here, but like I want to be doing stuff outside of school,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like is kind of something that everyone needs,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's like on a much smaller scale. But for me, it's like rushing a fraternity is like, and going through the pledging process, it's like making a friend group with training wheels almost. It's like because everyone's going through the same pledge process. For me, in my specific situation, is that as someone that's coming out of like a COVID freshman year, where no one really had a good social network,
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to be social. Everyone wants to make a friend group.
Yeah.
I think everyone was so eager to kind of have the group of friends, like a good friend group, and it made it so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I really wanted to be social, someone else really wanted to be social, so it's a lot easier to kind of ground that friendship.
Yeah. Yeah. What does that look like when you're rushing?
So rush, so I told you about. Well, actually, so rush is like when you're meeting the people, and then they decide whether they give you the bid.
Mm-hmm.
My first day of rushing, I went to 3 events. I went to a car smash. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
we had they had sledgehammers and crowbars and firemen's axes, and we were just going to town on
Where
it.
did they get the car? Like
I
a
think
junkyard?
they got it off like Craigslist. It was like a $200
Okay.
car. They had to take the glass off of it for like safety reasons. You don't
Yeah.
want glass flying all over the place.
Yeah.
So I went to that. I went to I went to like a barbecue after that, and I'm gonna not name names just
Mhm.
because they got kicked off
Oh.
campus.
Oh.
And wasn't a huge fan of them, not for the same reason they got kicked off of campus, because I didn't even know about that at the time, because this was almost a year ago.
Okay.
They just seemed really cliquey for me. And then I went to a different barbecue that night where I met the people that I met the fraternity that I'm in right now, which is great. And then this was just by total coincidence that Jesse also happened to go to one of their events also, and we just ended up rushing the same fraternity.
Like just by were you guys roommates first, and then?
Yeah, we were roommates first, and then we were like, yeah, we're just gonna go about rush separately.
Yeah.
And then we ended up with the same fraternity.
In my head, I thought like for some reason, you guys had already found that fraternity, and they had you choose each other as roommates.
No.
In my head, that's what I thought was at play.
No, Jesse and I being roommates was completely random.
By just a transfer hall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we went. Well, actually, we didn't go at the same time. They do like a fair, like a rush fair, where like outside the LSC, there's like a big circle of tents.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone's trying to give you their information.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get all these flyers, and with like a full list of events, and you decide which ones you want to go to. They have the dates, the locations, the times, everything listed. And then I just ended up encountering Jesse at the one that I enjoyed going to. And we kind of stuck with the same thing. We even have the same big, if you know what big littles are.
Oh, yeah. Like it's like a partner, right?
Well, so like so I don't know if it's the same for all fraternities, but there's like a big little system. So like you choose like someone that's been in the fraternity longer, and you'll vote, or you'll list them as like your first choice, second choice, or third choice for your big. And it's kind of like the brother that has more experience that you just kind of like, you hang out with them, though. It's kind of like a closer bond.
They'll teach you, right?
Yeah.
Kind of a mentor?
Yeah, kind of. And then no, we just ended up with the same one.
Hmm. You ended
Dear-
up with the same
yeah,
big? Huh. How many littles can a big have?
as much as they want.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, there's one that he just graduated that had like I can't remember if it was like 8 or like 11 littles.
That
Like
seems like a lot.
he was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go for as many as I want.
There's a whole litter of fraternity
Yeah,
brothers.
and then we have families. So like bigs and littles are a part of a family, and then each family has like their own family drink.
Okay.
So mine is Jaeger bombs,
Okay.
and then there's like one that's like I think tequila, and then there's one that's Four Loco, which I'm glad I'm not in that one. I'm also glad I'm not in the tequila one. That sounds awful.
How does the drink factor in?
It's just kind of like if you're at like a party, you can like pull a family member aside and be like, "Hey, we're about to do Jaeger bombs.
Mm.
You in?"
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
Mhm.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's not really what we see in media, maybe.
Yeah, because I feel like they kind of when you watch like I can't remember what your answer was. Have you seen The Neighbors with like Seth Rogen, Zac Efron?
No, but I've seen bits of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like they kind of make him seem like huge partier, kind of douchebag.
Mhm.
Like it's not like that at all. I'm not gonna say that there's no fraternity out there that's like that.
Yeah.
But my experience is that people are a lot more down to earth, and obviously partying is a huge portion of it. But
Mhm.
like that's not all there is.
Seems like primarily like brotherhood,
Mhm.
almost, right?
Yeah, like I'll grab like lunch like a couple times a week. Like I'll swipe people into the dining hall
Mhm.
that are like in my fraternity,
Yeah. Yeah.
and some of them like the big I told you about that has like a bunch of littles is also in chemical engineering, and so I would he would tutor me or I'd go to him for tutoring for
Yeah.
chemistry,
Yeah.
and you kind of have that network.
Mhm. Nice. No, it seems like a really healthy thing, especially if you're like a freshman coming cross states to a university you've never been to, and then you have to make friends and stuff like that, where this kind of like helps you kind of integrate in
Yeah.
with some guys.
It's helpful because everyone is there to make friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not like there's like an established group and you kind of have to work your way in. It's like, yeah, everyone wants to be a part of this, so
Mhm.
it's easier to, associate with everyone else.
Yeah. Can I ask you about the financial piece of that?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
How I have heard it's very expensive.
So I think it depends on the chapter. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
But it's not like emptying me out. It's like it's an inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
But they have we do pay dues, which is like it's like so your first time paying ever is a little more expensive because you're paying for like an insurance deposit,
Yeah. Okay.
and then going forward after that there's like a membership fee,
Okay.
which is it's not fun to pay.
Do you get your deposit back?
Maybe by the end. I wouldn't know just because
Okay.
I'm going into my third semester as a frat guy.
Yeah.
Though if you don't have like that financial security that like at the time, there's like payment plans
Okay.
you can opt into.
Okay.
So it's like you don't have to pay all at once. We can pay a certain amount by this date and then this date and just going forward like
Mm.
that.
Can I get numbers from you? Is that okay?
I don't know the exact numbers,
Okay.
so I don't want to steer you the wrong way.
Okay.
But I think for me it was like
Like is a
$500
okay as the deposit part
as
or in
like
total?
as like the membership fee.
Membership fee.
It's like yearly.
Okay. So like 2 semesters, 500, and that's not including the deposit?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's like if you've already been in the fraternity and you don't have to pay the deposit, then that's what your year looks like.
Okay. That doesn't seem too bad.
Again, though, it's like it could be different for other chapters.
Yeah, there's probably like more expensive ones as
Mhm.
like a paywall to get in.
And there's like larger chapters like I know nothing about other chapters, so I don't want to say anything
Yeah.
incorrect.
Yeah.
But like for example, you could have someone like, I don't know this, but I'm just using them as an example name, like Fiji, who's like a lot larger
Mm-hmm.
of a chapter than mine. They might have smaller membership fees because they have such a dense
More
like
people.
yeah, they've like a
Yeah.
much larger membership.
But where does that money go? Do you know?
I think it goes to like the I'm trying to think. There's like a headquarters, I think.
Oh.
Like a Greek life. Oh gosh, honestly, there's a name for it, and it's blanking on me. But there is like a, so I'm in like Alpha Sigma Phi. There is like a central Alpha Sigma Phi
Yeah.
that like, I guess, I think there's like a system between schools where you have to like kind of pay to be acknowledged on campus, or like pay to be
Mhm.
a fraternity
Mm-hmm.
on a campus.
Yeah, because you have one in Boulder and
Yeah.
stuff. Do you
And-
know how many other campuses you have?
I mean, I assume it's pretty widespread because I've seen ones in Ohio. I've seen, there's Boulder. I live in, we're in Fort Collins, but like
Mm-hmm.
there's one here. So I'm assuming it's pretty widespread.
Okay.
There are a lot larger chapters. Like Fiji is a lot larger, though I just don't know how widespread mine is.
Yeah. Huh. That doesn't seem too bad. I bet there's more expensive ones out there.
Yeah, probably.
And maybe more cheaper ones, it's hard to say. But that doesn't seem like obscene. And I bet like some of that goes into buying that car, right? And goes into maybe some of the party.
And some of the money goes to like our budget for the for like the year or semester.
Yeah.
So like financing things like Rush, where we put together events to draw in more
Mm-hmm.
members.
Yeah. Yeah. So that doesn't seem bad.
No, I mean obviously no one wants to pay that money.
Yeah.
But there are ways to kind of make it less of a pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And like it's hard to balance like money with like a solid community, you
Mhm.
know? Like a lot of people need that, and you can maybe foster that on your own if you really like tried hard to coordinate people on campus and stuff like that, but this
Mhm.
is kind of like a easy way to get, it's not like you pay for friends, but you come in and now you're all together and you rush together, and then you have big brothers and a family and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's a nice ecosystem you get to drop into.
Yeah. Now there are like other expenses that are optional, like like I talked about formal, I think earlier.
Yeah.
Where there is you pay for you and your date to go to formal
Mhm.
together, and the price changes depending on like what the plan is, because at least for us, like we rented out 2 houses in Breckenridge,
Okay.
and we we had to rent them for we rented them for like a weekend, and so it's not like it's not like we're just taking the money.
Mm-hmm.
The money's just going towards that.
Yeah.
So I think I paid, it was like $240 for that,
Okay.
which I had the money at the time. So it's,
Was that on top of the normal membership fees?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many do they just do like a number for the semester, or is it weekly or monthly, or
So like formals,
the membership?
membership. I don't know. So if you're on a payment plan, it might be weekly.
Okay.
If you have the money, if you're able to pay it, you pay it right there on the spot, and then it's supposed to cover, the rest of the
Okay. Okay.
time.
So it seems like they're pretty lenient on when they get paid.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like if you don't pay, we're gonna kick you out.
Yeah.
It's more so of like if you're late on this payment, you're still part of the fraternity, but like we have what's called like social probation, where like you just can't go to it. You're not like encouraged to go to like the parties that like
Yeah.
paying members are going to.
Yeah.
I know that sounds a little kind of cruel, but it's like
Mhm.
not like, we want you to have the fun experience, but
Mhm.
it's like everyone here is paying so we can keep doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's understandable if you don't have that ability to pay, and that's why the payment plan is in place.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we're not going to punish you, but we might not.
Like, we're not going to kick you to the curb if you can't be a member. We still want you to be a part of this. It's just that if you can't, or you want, like, for instance, if you could and you just don't pay the money,
Mm-hmm.
then we're gonna have like a little outlook where it's like, look, you're totally able to do this and you're just choosing not to.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds cool. I don't know if I still would have done it, but I think it's good for a lot of people. Like if I was to reverse my course, I got really lucky where so I went to a community college first and then came up here.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I transferred, they put me in Alpine as well because I guess I transferred, so that's the transfer
Yeah.
spot. But my roommate my roommate at that point who I'm still pretty good friends with, at one point it was his idea. I can't take credit for him. He's just like, we're going to make friends with everybody in our hallway. And our situation was particularly cool because our RA in the hall like had some health problems. And so she was gone often. And then the last like 2 months of semester, she was gone. So we had like free reign of our hall. Like some other RAs, I think I don't know in the background what they were doing, but I think they would like make a couple rounds through our hall to try to like observe.
Yeah.
But we never like destroy the place. So it always seemed like we were fine, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd say we made friends with like 20 to 30% of no, even more, maybe 40% of the people in our hall, which is pretty solid, you know, and it's really cool because we were on the first floor on the doorway on the right side there.
Yeah.
And like you just go down the hall, you can knock on the people that wanted to be friends with everybody. You could just knock on their door and come in. Our room was the big room everybody would kind of go to because what we did was we lofted both of our beds, and then we didn't really coordinate, but it worked for the best where we had 2 TVs under his bed, and then we had like a whole like lounge. I had like a hammock up and multiple chairs and
Sounds awesome.
blankets and stuff and then like a snack cabinet and stuff like that under my bed. And so like we just throw game nights, and we got like a little mini folding table, and we'd play Pong and Rage. And
It's like my freshman year dorm. I lived in Ingersoll,
okay.
which is frowned upon. It kind of has. It wasn't horrible, but it's kind of has that reputation of like being one of the less good living conditions.
Desirable, yeah.
Less desirable ones. And everyone in my hall, wanted to be friends. And it's kind of like a similar situation that you described. And also RRA, he was around, but he was cool. He was like, yeah, guys, just kind of like a don't ask, don't tell kind of situation. And we had a lot of fun. So like in like Halloween, we put like orange lights going all the way down the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Nice.
they had like some fake spider webs and like stuff and people's. We did a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
I definitely I won't say I had like a great roommate experience.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't ruin my freshman year.
Yeah.
I'd say just the fact that I had to stay indoors, like in my dorm so much
Mm-hmm.
because of COVID.
Yeah.
That was kind
And
of
then
the
not
heavy hitter.
really get along with your roommate at the same time.
He was
right?
a good guy. It's just like we weren't very living compatible.
Yeah. I could see what you mean by that. Yeah. And like, yeah, me and my old roommate talked about it, but like I like to go to bed if I can by like 9, 10, and he was up till like 12, and sometimes we'd have people over, so then I'm trying to sleep when everybody's watching a show below me and stuff like that. So I was happy to get my own room, but living with him was great. It was super fun because we inadvertently kind of had the party room. Like we'd have people over for game nights or drinking nights or just to hang out. Like we stole one of the door jams from housekeeping and would just leave our door open, and anybody walking by could just pop in sometimes, and it was super fun. It was really fun.
Yeah, my guy was okay. It was like small things that bothered me, like snoring, and then he would like slurp a lot,
Slurp.
whenever he would drink or like sometimes eat, depending on what he was eating. That I could get past all that. What kind of put the nail in the coffin for me as far as like wanting to move out or because not a lot of people came back second semester, so there were some open rooms, and they were like, yeah, we can just move you somewhere else. Was he brought COVID back, and normally I wouldn't blame him for it, but this was like, his girlfriend was like, yeah, please don't come over. My sister has COVID. Like, it would not be wise for you to come over. And he was like, all right, guess I'm here for the weekend. And then I go take a shower and come back, and he's gone.
Oh.
And then he comes back, like, we have to get tested, like, weekly.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, by the way, I just got flagged for COVID. And then I started to get sick, and then I got sent to quarantine for 10 days and got out just in time for my birthday. But it sucked because I was it was pretty nice for a quarantine. Like, so I was in a 4-bedroom apartment by myself. So it's hard to complain about that. But being in the same, like, room for 10 days straight sucks so much.
They wouldn't let you out? What happens if you try to get out?
I'd assume you get in trouble, but they were like, yeah, please don't go.
Huh. Yeah, what did you do for the 10 days?
I'm glad I decided to I almost didn't bring, like, my Xbox with me.
Yeah.
Glad I brought it with me.
Xbox, I'd bring some books or something.
Yeah, I had my Xbox. I got to do classes.
From there.
And
so you're kind of like, dude, you purposefully brought it back.
I mean, it's not like he intended to get sick and bring it back, but, like, he knew the risk.
The situation.
And, I mean, she was literally like, to my knowledge, she was like, yeah, it would not be wise for you to come. And he still did it anyway. And, I mean, I don't hate him by any means. It's just like,
annoying.
I don't want to put up with this. So,
yeah.
No hard feelings, but I would like to have my own room.
Yeah.
So, like, and it was just down the hall.
Yeah, we had a couple of the guys in our hall were big mountain bikers. And there was, like, came home one day and going down the hall, there's, like, black streaks, like, 7 feet up on the wall. Like, what the hell? And we, like, had a bunch of people over later. I was like, who? Because I knew it was somebody of, like, the biker guys. And it was, I'm not going to say his name, but one dude, he was like, I'm trying to practice my stoppies, man. And he was trying to stop on the front tire in the hallway and whip it. And the tire went all the way up on, like, to the top of the fucking ceiling. And it was just tire marks everywhere from the bikes. That same dude brought one of the bird scooters in because I think they, like, just came into Fort Collins maybe. Or I don't know. But he brought one of those in and was, like, trying to pop wheelies on it down the hallway in Alpine and stuff like that. And then, like, it'll scream at you if, like, you don't pay or something like that.
I think, like, if you're in I think it knows, like, what areas you have to dismount in.
Yeah.
And also if you don't pay. So, like, it'll, like, beep really loud if you're somewhere you're not supposed to be riding, and also if you're just trying to ride it without paying.
Yeah.
I don't think it even starts if you don't pay it, but I think it beeps if you try and just kind of push it along.
All I remember is he was, like, screaming, and he just, like, left it maybe in the hallway or something like that. And it's just, like, at the doorway, you'd have to walk over it, and there's just a bird scooter in the hallway. Yeah, that was fun. I really missed that because of, like, just the proximity. Like, walking 5 minutes to Durrell or Foundry for food.
There's a lot of convenience to it.
Yeah. And then, like, one of my good friends now was just to, like, cross the doorway for us on it. So I could go over there anytime and knock. And we'd have, like, wine and chess nights and stuff like that. And
Wine and chess.
Yeah, dude. It was super fun. I would get sloshed. And he would, like, sip and kick my ass the whole time.
Yeah, we just had, like, Smash Bros night and, like, just different Switch stuff. And we would have, like, Pong.
Yeah.
And then very rarely, this was, like, when Among Us was in circulation. We had a little Among Us going on.
Yeah. That's fun, man. I miss that. Because it's so easy, you know? And sometimes you get busy with school and everything.
Yeah.
And you could have, like, a full day. And I just come home and there's, like, 5 people chilling in my room all gaming and stuff. And you just hop in. We'd play a lot of Duck Game, if you play that on Switch.
I haven't played it, but I think of it.
We'd play a lot of Duck Game. And that was fun. And you just jump in. And it's so easy. Like, anytime now I want to go see them, it's like 20-minute drive through Old Town one
Mhm.
way, which is not as easy as 20-second
Yeah, just
walk
like the next door over.
or texting them and they just come to you, you
Mhm.
know. So I miss that a little bit. That was really fun.
So I'm glad I'm in a house with some of my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming up here soon.
Is that what you're doing right now?
No, so I'm subleasing in
Okay.
Rams Village right
Okay.
now.
Nice.
But like, come August, I think I move into a house.
Yeah. Is Jesse going into that?
Yeah,
How many?
We're living in the same house with 3 others.
So 5 in total?
5 in total.
Is that breaking the law?
No,
Not the U+2 law?
well they have multiple. They have like 5 bedrooms. There's
Oh. I thought that you can only have 3 people in a building.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
There's 3 people on the lease, but there's 5 bedrooms.
3 people on the lease?
Mm-hmm.
I think, okay. That might be a little undercover then.
Yeah, you might have to beep this whole.
Might have outed.
You might have to
Tipped 'em off.
censor this whole. Yeah, so that was just a joke.
Just kidding. It's just 3 of us guys.
Yeah, that was just being silly.
The one police officer out of the 3 people that listen to this
Yeah,
is going to be like,
they're monitoring us.
I'm going to find these kids.
I mean, it's not like we're the first people to do it. People have been doing this.
Everybody does
yeah,
it.
It's not like
Yeah.
we are violating federal law.
It's a little sketchy. Like, you don't think about it sometimes.
Well, it's not like common knowledge either. It's not like some people could break that law just by accident.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like if you're not on the lease, you like technically don't have a home, you know?
Yeah.
And then if you are on the lease, you have to pay for the rent. So if that person leaves, the 2 people off, you know.
Yeah, so we
Not-
leave like 3 people paying for the rent, and then I'll just Venmo
Yeah.
like 2 of them. Like I'll split like. So I'll split like my rent into 2 payments and send it to one person, and then send it to another person. So
Okay.
that, and then the 5th person does the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying it won't work, but it's just like a interesting position, and I've like heard people in the community think that like it works and it helps college kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if I know any college kid that likes the law.
Yeah,
That
I
particular
wouldn't know.
law.
Especially when you have like, I'm not speaking for like all college kids, but most college kids are pretty social,
Mm-hmm.
and especially when you have something like a fraternity. Again, this isn't a frat house,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a group of people that are in the same fraternity going in a house. And there's lots of people I know like that, like inside and outside of the fraternity, that have like 4 or 5 people in a house.
Yeah, yeah. It all depends usually on the landlord is what it really matters. Some of them
Mhm.
don't want that heat, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
you know? Which is fair, I guess, but you could just say I didn't know a thing about it and probably get away with it. I don't know how the inner
And then
workings
you
work.
blame it all on the landlord. Like, yeah, they didn't warn us.
Yeah, and they blame it on you, right?
Yeah, and
Then what do you do?
Yeah, well, you just be like, we had no idea.
I don't know. It seems silly.
I know.
I don't know why. I think they like, cause I had a buddy, and I don't know if he was breaking the U+2 law or this was before. He was older, and I don't know if this is before it or during it, but he said he was in a house with a total of like 10 dudes, and I
I
don't
wouldn't know anything about that.
I don't know like how much the house was supposed to support, like how many rooms it actually had, but it seemed like pretty rough in a
Mhm.
sense. Like they would all share the same tub of peanut butter was one story he was telling me about and stuff like that. And I don't know, but there's also the other side that's like we're young and like so we can handle maybe like non-optimal situations, you know?
Yeah.
Especially if it's like maybe rent is $100 at that point, whatever rent was, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it really saves you and you can actually pay for school at that point. Like maybe that's a balance you should allow people to make the choice of,
Yeah.
you know, instead of like having a law where kids that are going into debt already. I don't know what the prosecution looks like, but any prosecution wouldn't be good, right?
I mean, no prosecution's good for someone, but like at the same time, it's like, are you really gonna like, are you really gonna put like huge charges on someone that broke
Yeah.
like that kind of law? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be like an enabler, but like at the same time, like, are you really gonna charge a college student that's living with like just that's breaking like the U+2 law?
Yeah. Based on how they handle parking tickets and drunk driving around here, I would believe it. Where it's
Yeah.
pretty heavily enforced and policed.
Well, I think something like drunk driving is like that's like a lot worse.
That should be, yeah, but like parking seems to be a little obscene.
There
Especially on
there are
campus.
ways to. I mean, like, I guess it depends on the situation. Like, I have a friend that's a DoorDash driver
Okay.
and got a ticket, and then he can just appeal. There's like ways to appeal it. It's
Mhm.
like, yeah, I was delivering like DoorDash and had to get out of my car to make this delivery,
Mhm.
and not all DoorDash drivers are gonna have a CSU parking permit.
Yeah. Did he win that?
Yeah,
somehow?
I think he got it appealed.
Nice. And was that a CSU or a Fort Collins
CSU
thing? Okay.
I don't know about Fort Collins.
Mhm.
I'm very lucky to have not gotten a parking ticket,
Mhm.
but I also try and follow the law as closely as I can when it comes to something like that.
I've gotten a many parking tickets. I could probably pay my tuition with that. I've gotten too many. I don't know. I like to. I guess I chance it a lot, and I'm like, it'll be fine. And then I've gotten many tickets.
No, I freak out because like I'll go park in another lot and it's like, yeah, the parking's enforced here like 7:30 a.m. to like 4 p.m. and I'll
Mhm.
wake up at 7 just to go move my car
Yeah. Yeah.
somewhere where it's allowed.
Mhm. Yeah. Like, where'd you park today?
I parked in the north lot.
Is it free on the weekends?
Yeah, it's free on the weekends.
Okay. Because my go-to is the subway on Elizabeth,
Mm-hmm.
right out there. Because you can just hit the crosswalk and you're right on campus.
Yeah, it's free there, I think, also.
It's free there all the time,
Mhm.
which is nice. And then after 4, I'll park right by the rec when I come down and lift and stuff.
Yeah.
I've gotten towed too.
Oh, that sucks.
That was a sucky day.
I'm lucky to. Well, I mean, I don't think I've put myself in a position to get towed, but I'm
Mhm.
glad I haven't been towed yet.
It was what was it? I was at my girlfriend's place at the time, and they had guest passes. I don't know if I should say the apartment, but they had like a shitty guest pass system, and I think we maybe rubbed off the wrong date or something like that you have to put on the tag on guest cars,
Mm-hmm.
and so they didn't clear it, and it got towed. Even though like I was getting it at like 7 in the morning, so they must have been enforcing it by 6, I guess. I don't know. And I get out there because I leave her place to go to work, and I'm like, oh shit, my car's gone. And I'm like, must have gotten towed. So I call her, and she comes down, and we're driving to the tow yard, which was across town. I think it was like Fort Collins Towing or something like that. On Google Maps, 5 minutes away, we're at a stop sign. And nobody's fault. She goes a little quick on it, on the
Mhm.
stop sign. And the oncoming truck hits our back of her car.
Oh.
And we're like 5 minutes from it. And everything settles. We're getting it taken care of. Cops coming to let that get secured and everything like that. There's a community service officer right there. So he was our mediating force, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And once everything's good, like she's good, the other guy's good, nobody got hurt. It was just vehicle damage. I'm like, I'm gonna go walk and get my car because they don't even have somebody there all the time. I had to call him. He's like, yeah, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Tells me to not be late. And I'm like, okay, I just got hit by another car. I might be a little bit late. And so I'm walking to the fucking tow place. I get there and I see my car beyond the fence. And upon looking, there's a goat pen in there. That I don't know what like why goats. There was at least 2. There's maybe 2 or 4 goats just chilling in their own pen within the fence. And so I was like, okay. And then there's like a pair of old, they might have been snow pants or overalls draped over the barbed wire on top. It's like, was somebody trying to jump in and steal?
That's pretty sketchy.
It's
That's
a little,
like,
it's a little whack, right?
yeah.
And so the dude that tells me not to be late is 20 minutes late, even when I'm like 10 minutes late after getting hit by a car. And he finally opens it up, and I don't know, he looked like he was in high school, but he was probably like around young 20s. But he looked like, I was like, this high school dude's gonna give me my car back. Like, it just felt weird. And as he's like checking me out and shit like that, it was like $200 too, which was annoying upon everything else. And I'm like, why the goats? What's up with the goats? And he goes like, a lot of people get mad at us. And I'm like, yeah, I bet a lot of people get mad at you guys like towing them all the time, right? It's like, so they're for emotional support for people that come in. Like, you have emotional support goats in your tow truck facility? He's like, yeah.
Sounds like bullshit.
And I don't remember if I asked him about the snow pants draped on it, but he didn't mind much. Like, I wonder if they were air drying them or something. They seemed like they were supposed to be there. It was a weird situation in total. And I get my car and go back, and the officer's taking statements and all that. We finally get that sorted, and then I get to work like only a half an hour late after all that. So, yeah, don't fuck around with towing up here, man. Yeah, that's the lesson I learned. That was annoying. It was very annoying.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, maybe you get a pet a goat, but it's not really worth the $200 petter's fee. You know,
The goat fee.
the goat fee. Yeah, $50 of the 200 was the goat fee in the tow. Man. Yeah, I don't know what to make a lot of that.
Yeah. Sounds like a very tedious story.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially because it's like, we're right there and get rear-ended.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the worst. It wasn't even bad, but that was like the worst accident I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Because like nobody got hurt, which is great. But it like rattled me a bit for a couple minutes because like the amount of force I felt was weird.
Well, and plus, you said it hit like the back end of her.
Yeah, so it hit her driver's side rear end.
Mm-hmm. That could have been worse. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay to be a little rattled by that.
Yeah, I think like just it was a truck, and so feeling the force of the truck move our car was different, you know? Like you don't feel force like that.
Yeah.
Maybe on like a roller coaster, but that's a little different, you know? So that was interesting. Have you been in any bad accidents?
I've been in a couple accidents.
Oh, no.
Not while I've been driving.
You haven't caused them.
No, I have not caused any. To my knowledge, I have not caused any. No, most of them have been like, I mean, like accidents. Most of them have been like icy road kind of instances where like my mom was trying to turn on an icy road and we spin out off the road.
Yeah.
Or like into someone's mailbox, which has happened. And most of the accidents I've been in have never been anything. It's like a really slight rear end.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing like where anyone's been injured or like where there's like lawsuits or anything like that.
I think it was last winter. My younger brother, we were skiing up in Steamboat. That's where my parents live. And we were driving back home. I think he just fully got his license, and full day of snowboarding, so I was passed out in the driver's seat. I guess I was technically supposed to be like watching, but it's like, what are you gonna do if like you spin out? Am I really gonna correct the steering wheel after reacting to that? Anyways, I'm passed out, and I wake up and we're backwards in a ditch. I'm like, I look at him and I'm like, dude, because yeah, I don't know if he tried to whip it or he just lost it on the icy roads, but just back right into it. And then we like crawl out, and right as we're getting out, this dude in a truck is like, "Need a tow?" Like very, very on point. Pulls us out, and then we're back on our
What
way.
a guy.
Yeah, yeah,
In your hour of need.
yeah.
The man with the truck.
Yeah, because it would have been a like at least a half an hour, 45-minute walk to our house.
Could have been something dangerous. That guy could have been total stranger.
Yeah, what if he just didn't stop after he pulled our car out? He just took it.
Yeah, he just took you guys. Like,
What if he just did that? We couldn't really do much.
well, you would know. You know your license plate number, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like
He takes them off.
But I don't know.
You never stolen a car?
No,
No? Do you want to?
no.
No?
Sounds like a hassle.
Does sound like a dude. That is the biggest like wall to me committing crimes, because it just seems like a hassle, right?
Sounds like a chore, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do that.
Like getting caught stealing, and then you don't get to walk out with it because they catch you.
Yeah, it's like,
It's a-
I don't get my stuff and I'm in trouble.
Yeah, yeah. It's a big hassle. It's not even like I feel like I'm morally good.
Yeah,
I just
it's like one of those like things where you just want to slap your knee out of
You're like,
pure anger.
darn it,
Like, oh,
I didn't save any time, and I'm in trouble. Fuck. Do you think you're leaning more towards staying in Colorado here,
Yeah.
or do you think you're going to go back home?
I'm probably gonna stay here.
Yeah,
School wise, I'd like to stay here.
for school.
Yeah.
But then after school,
I guess it just depends on what
Job
I'm doing.
opportunity?
Yeah, job opportunity.
what if you get the same opportunity and it's here or in Ohio?
Probably here.
Okay.
I like it here.
Yeah.
Here, at least, like, you experience the seasons here, and if you get snow, there's like fun stuff you can do.
Hmm.
But like back home, like, we don't have like ski slopes or like, well, I mean, we have hills, but like, we can't do the same stuff you could do out here.
Yeah. What is the main recreation out there?
Uh,
Is it as
There's sports, like we have sports, but like we don't have lakes. Well, there are lakes, but like we don't have. For me, so like over the summer, my grandparents will like invite people up to like up in Michigan, and
Mhm.
we'll get to do some fun stuff on the Great Lakes. But as far as like Ohio,
yeah.
which at least Cincinnati, where I'm from, was on like the southern end.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really much recreation you can do there.
What's the difference of like culture out there with maybe like outdoors or leisure time maybe?
There's like as far as culture, like there's hiking, but it's nothing like out here.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there's a lot of mountains out here, and there's like
Yeah.
a lot of stuff you can go see.
Like real hikes.
Yeah, real hikes.
Yeah.
There you're just kind of like going through the motions, but on a hill or like through forests.
Yeah. So what do like most people do? I guess I'm trying to get out. Like actually like to do.
Probably none of that stuff. They just
Yeah.
they just kind of exist.
Is it a little more, would you use the word lazy, do you think?
I wouldn't say lazy. I would say it's a little more urban. Like
Oh, okay.
it's not as here. It's kind of like
Outdoorsy?
it's kind of outdoorsy here.
Yeah.
Whereas back home, like it's very. If you're not in a city, it's like farmland.
Yeah.
And at least for me, like Cincinnati's a big brewing city. It's like brewing and like, there's
Like beer brewing?
Yeah, there's a lot of breweries.
Okay.
And then like Kentucky, which is like right next to Cincinnati. It's like across the river.
Yeah.
Cincinnati's on a river and Kentucky's on the other side. There's like I can't remember. Is it whiskey or is it bourbon that's in Kentucky? It's bourbon, isn't it?
Probably, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know that well.
I don't know. I don't have the alcohol knowledge.
Okay. So do you think it's like more of a, like, I don't know what to call that type of thing. Like
Yeah.
sitting culture almost. But it's
Yeah.
not sitting. Is it, but do you think there's a bigger drink culture out there?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot more to do out here
Yeah.
than the Midwest, unless you're on a lake, which is different. Where you can do a lot more there.
Out in the Midwest?
Well,
Or-
if you're on a lake, but
Okay.
like out here, I can go like a mile or two away and go on a good hike.
Yeah. Yeah. True. And do you like hiking?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Like, other than sports, what I'm getting at is like, what would be the weekend adventure, or do people have like, is it
So
different or?
yeah, I'd say different. Like as far as like if you're trying to find like the equivalent of like fun opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
there's we have rivers for like kayaking.
Okay.
You could go kayaking, canoeing,
Okay.
golf. There's a lot of golf. Um, and then there's a lot of bike trails.
Okay.
But other than that, and I mean, you could walk a bike trail.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, it's just it's a totally different environment.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I kind of picture what you mean. Yeah. So we kind of have that because we have like the front range of it being more plainy out here, but then
Mhm.
we're right next to the mountains. So if you wanted, you can kind of, if you wanted that more Ohio style, maybe you
Yeah.
got that. But then also we have the Colorado style, so to speak, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So there's, yeah, I see what you mean by more options now. Are the colors different? That's something I've heard that I never
Colors?
thought of. Like, some people come out here that aren't originally from here that I've met, and they'll say it's a lot browner here.
Yeah,
They
I'd say I think it's because I think it's a lot drier here.
Mm-hmm.
So back home, I wouldn't say everything's lush, but we get a lot of rain. So there's a lot more green
Yeah.
and everything. I'd say things are a lot more vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
But then you come out here, and the plains are pretty dry.
Mm-hmm.
And some depending on the mountains, like depending on how much water you've gotten. If you were to go up to Horsetooth, you'd say like, yeah, it's really brown up here. It's like
Mhm.
very dry.
Yeah.
So I'd say yeah, colors are different.
Is that something you kind of pick up on, like, pretty easily?
Um,
Like, are you like, oh wow, it's like my color shades are different.
I think it would be like, wow, this is different from home. But
Mhm.
I don't think I'd be like, yeah, this is a lot less vibrant. I
Okay.
mean, it's definitely noticeable, but it's not like,
Obscene.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never thought about. I've grown up here all my life, so I never thought about like how brown it is. And right now it's a little bit greener because we've been getting rain lately.
Yeah.
But that's not normal necessarily. And I wish we had more rain.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like, I think wildfires would be a little better, but just in general, like I do like rainy
Mhm.
days. And yesterday, 2 days ago, when it was very no, yeah, yesterday.
It's like yesterday.
Yeah, when it was very rainy and you can kind of like throw a hoodie on and kind of
Mhm.
chill, a bit more. I really like that.
That was another thing. Wildfires.
Hmm.
I had not experienced that
Yeah.
at home. We don't really have too much of that in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Um, and my last year, freshman year, there was that really close one, and like the sky would sometimes be like brownish,
Brown orange.
like brownish orange, and there'd be like
Yeah.
ash falling,
Yeah.
and we'd get like like air warnings,
Yeah.
like heads up,
Yeah.
ash.
I forget which fire that was, but that was very close. And I was talking to somebody actually the other day about that. Somebody that wasn't from here, and it was weird because you would like almost dust your car off of ash when normally it's just snow up here. A little scary.
Yeah, no, it caught me off guard because I'd never seen something like that. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah. There was a fire within the last 3 years up by my parents' place. And I think they got maybe like 10, 13 miles from our place where they had cars ready to go if they got evacuated.
Mhm, like a alarming proximity.
Yeah. 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 And there's a really fun hike up by their house that like completely got burnt. And I almost want to do it next time I'm up there if I can, to like, I don't know if it's even open the trail or if it's cleared because I mean a fire went through it,
Mhm.
but it's really cool because you go up through the forest like a normal hike, but then you get to the top of the particular peak, and the whole mountainside has been washed out for years, and it's called Muddy Slide, and like you just get to see, it's not trees, it's like a cool dirt foundation that's like just continually eroding right now.
Mhm.
And I don't know, like what the fire did to that now, like the geology of that and
Yeah, like you
everything.
don't know like the status of the area
Yeah,
is.
yeah. And I was up there recently before the fire too, where it was green and lush, and I think it was even raining on that day we went up, and so I'm interested to see what the terrain's like differently, and
Mm-hmm.
even if the trail's clear, you know. It's a really cool view though. You get a good view of the valley, and it's got its own like mini valley because it's a big washout for water and stuff like that,
Yeah.
you know. So it's a really cool hike once you get to the top. So I want to check that out. I don't even know if it's open with the fire and stuff like that. But we were working up around it when the fire was still raging. We're doing some landscaping on a different property, and as we're like pushing lawnmowers and stuff, the fire department helicopter was taking buckets from lakes and pushing it or dumping it on top.
That'd be such a crazy job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've also seen like the videos of like planes that have like water and
Mm-hmm.
stuff in it that just like drop it over
Mm-hmm.
fires.
The real cool one I want to see is when they stock mountain lakes. Have you heard about that?
I don't think so.
I think it's a helicopter, and they just like come over with a big, I think they're carrying something, and they just go like above the lake and just trapdoors open, and like water and fish just kind of dump.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you meant at first by stock lakes. Now it
Stocking them
makes
with
sense.
fish.
Yeah, like restocking like
Yeah.
some like livestock.
Yeah. And they'll do that in some mountain lakes. And one of my buddies was hunting, I think, and chilling at this one lake. And he just hears a helicopter. And then it gets very close because he was camping by the water. And then is just watching it and just sees fish coming from the sky.
The state mandated fish.
Yeah. As he's maybe even fishing it. I don't even know. But that'd be cool to watch. Is them dropping fish out of the air.
Yeah.
I really want to. I wonder if there's like a YouTube video on that.
You could probably look that up.
Yeah. Whew. What kind of podcast do you listen to?
I like comedy podcasts.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't get into those personally.
I enjoy them because, especially if they match like my specific sense of humor.
Okay. I tried to
Um,
get into the D&D podcast. You know about those?
I don't think. What's depends which D and what does D&D stand for?
Dungeon and Dragon.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just wanted to
Yeah.
be sure. No, I've never listened to anything like that.
It's like very audio intensive for something that's, I don't know, like a board game is something trying to get you close to like a imaginative fight, and then
Mhm.
you have to just do audio, so it didn't work for me.
Well, and then I think that's more for like the demographic of people that are already a part of. Like
That could
I
be.
don't know if you're a part of D&D or not,
Not
but like
really.
I think that's the demographic they're appealing to.
That
where
makes sense.
It's like these people are already like into that culture, so
Yeah.
it's more for them.
Yeah. What comedy podcast do you like?
I listen to the Super Mega Cast.
Okay.
Um,
Who runs that?
Matt Watson and Ryan McGee.
Okay.
They're pretty funny. I think they fit my sense of humor probably the closest. And then, do you know who TMG is?
Maybe.
Tiny Meat Gang.
Yeah.
Cody Ko.
Teeny Meat Gang.
Yeah, Cody Ko, Noel Miller.
They have a
pretty-
comedy podcast?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
What is like the format of that though?
It's honestly just kind of them either talking and then trying to make each other laugh. That's more so fits into Super Mega Cast. But for like something like Tiny Meat Gang, where there actually is a little more structure, they'll kind of talk about things, and then do skits sometimes, and then I guess it just kind of depends on the events of that week.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the Batman came out, one of them said that the Batman was mid, and they got a lot of backlash from like certain individuals, and so that kind of led into their next podcast where they were just kind of joking around that and like the backlash that they got, and they try and make it where like when they comment on it, they're not trying to insult anyone, but
Mhm.
they're trying to make everyone laugh.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a good time
Yeah.
where it's like, and a lot of them kind of have like running kind of inside jokes, and it's fun to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, yeah, I understand what they're talking about because this is like a running joke they've had for a while.
Yeah.
It's just kind of fun to have that.
Do you know Your Mom's House?
No.
That's Tom Segura
Oh, okay.
and his wife.
Yeah.
I've tuned into that a couple of times and it's pretty good. They do a lot of clips where they show some like either raunchy or just really funny clip stuff, and then whatever guest they try to. I guess like sometimes they do like a pay-per-view,
Mm-hmm.
so they can show like, I don't know, for example, like midgets eating shit or something like that, like just really raunchy shit.
Some more crude
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Some of those I listen to with some of the guests that I'm really interested in, but yeah,
Have you listened to any like the Barstool podcasts?
no,
There's one I listened to called Pardon My Take.
okay,
I don't know if you've heard of that or not, but they that one has more structure. Where they'll cover like sports, they'll have guests.
okay,
I think it's more sports oriented, but it's definitely got like kind of like a dumb kind of sport. I wouldn't say dumb, but like some kind of like asinine humor,
mm-hmm,
and then sports where they know a good amount of what they're talking about.
yeah,
But they'll have guests like the people from Shark Tank on,
mm-hmm,
like Mark Cuban, or like or coaches from football teams, and it's funny when they have like a Shark Tank person on because they'll pitch them really bad ideas. Like there was one where they talked about Listraquil, which is a combination of Listerine and like NyQuil, where it's like knocking two birds with one stone, or it's like
oh,
you get you wash your mouth out and
mm-hmm.
clean it, and then you get tired after your after it was really funny to listen to them go off on stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's just kind of my demographic. Everyone's different,
Mm-hmm.
but I really enjoy those kinds of
Yeah.
that much
Yeah.
that kind of content.
When do you like to listen to your podcast?
Depends. Usually, like if I'm walking somewhere, if I'm working out, it's either music or podcast. I guess it depends on if it's something if I'm just jogging,
Mm-hmm.
I like to listen to podcast. But if I'm doing if I'm on the rowing machine, I like to listen to music.
Hmm. Do you like the row still?
It depends. I haven't in a while. I'm a little out of shape because I was doing exams,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, yeah, I've got no time to work out right
Yeah.
now. And now I'm moving into apartment, and I think the gym is the gym closed right now?
It's not closed. But unless you're a full-time student during the summer, you would have to pay.
Okay.
I paid, but
There's a
not.
gym at the complex I'm moving into,
Oh,
so I
perfect.
can probably use that.
Yeah, yeah. What was it? I had a question. Do you miss rowing?
No. No, I do not.
No?
So for me, I wasn't as committed as a lot of the people on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Since I liked tennis, I got into tennis for my high school, and I kind of really was grateful for that because I wanted a gateway out of rowing, and I didn't want to do it anymore. First of all, I struggled a lot because I did not have the physique to keep doing it. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
I didn't show the commitment that everyone else had.
Yeah.
But I was also, I don't want to sound cocky, but I had some good qualities with tennis. Like, I wasn't bad at the sport.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you were to like choose team members for your boat and rowing, I probably would not be your first choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't have the endurance for it, and I didn't have the consistency that a lot of the other people had.
Mm-hmm.
There's also this really funny thing where, like, if there was like a team dispute on the rowing team, we had this hill that you would fight on. And allegedly, this was after I left, someone got in an argument with the coach and challenged them to a fight and won against the coach. In my mind, that's hilarious,
Yeah.
but I wasn't there for that, so I can't speak to to how true that is.
Yeah. Is it as upper body intensive as it looks?
It's full body.
Okay.
I actually, the way I understand it is that it's actually a lot in the legs.
Okay.
But I think the hardest part is that you're never supposed to stop moving.
Yeah.
There's not like a moment where you're like, all right, it's not like pull, stop,
Mm-hmm.
go back, which is the problem I experienced first. I thought it was like pull, stop, and then go back in. It's like you don't stop moving. It's like a cycle.
Yeah, yeah. And there's not a lot that are like maybe like swimming, y- doing laps in the pool, but even like cycling, you have like hills and you can
Yeah.
coast on that, and maybe running, right?
So it's not like where if you have enough speed, you can just kind of like stop pedaling and like let the hill take you.
Yeah,
It's like if you have speed in the boat, you have to maintain it.
yeah.
And one of the factors I didn't know about going into it is that you have to also stay balanced.
Mm-hmm.
So you've like
Side to side.
yeah, and if you're off balance, the boat will tilt.
Yeah,
And your first time going through that, it's like, oh shit, I don't wanna flip,
yeah,
which I've never experienced.
yeah. Do you think the guys that took it really seriously, what would they like really want to train? Like legs? Do you think, or
I think it's
shoulders?
I think it's legs, but I think one of the biggest parts, and as someone that doesn't know too much, I think one of the biggest parts is endurance.
Yeah,
Because I mean, you can be as strong as you want, but like, if you go for like 5 minutes and then you're all burnt out, it's
Mhm.
like you can't win a race off of that.
How long would a race last?
I think it's like 5 kilometers.
Okay. How much time roughly would that take?
Depending on your pace,
Like a basketball game, you could picture like an hour from tip off.
I'd say like, oh gosh, it's been a while. Somewhere between 10 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
And we used to have to go 20 minutes. So like during the winter when we can't row outside, we have like a little it's like a little warehouse that had like rowing machines in it, and you'd go for 20 minutes on this machine,
Yeah.
and it would suck
Yeah.
because a lot of people would, well, I don't want to say a lot of people like me would actually, I guess I can't say that either because there were a lot of in shape guys that would throw up also. so
Yeah.
so yeah, but I was definitely in the lower. I was definitely on the lower end.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems pretty cardio intensive too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you have to have like you said, your endurance needs to be in check along with your muscles, I guess.
You have to be in sync with everyone else.
Yeah.
And I learned this the hard way because if you're not in sync and the person behind you, if you're behind and the person behind you, if you're still back and the person behind you pushes their oar forward, it like jabs you like really
Because you're
hard.
leaning back as they're coming forward,
yeah,
right?
and it hits you really, it hurts a lot.
Yeah. Then you have to worry about balance and timing. How do you guys keep count? Do you have like an auditory thing you listen for? Or is it just kind of feel?
I guess there's just a feel for it.
Okay. You don't get like a beat?
No, a lot of it is and sometimes the coxswain can kind of give you like almost like a rhythm to keep sometimes, though sometimes if you don't want everyone to get burnt out so fast, you can be like, all right, seats 8, 7, like you have like the odd seats row while the even seats rested.
Yeah.
And then
Is that a
vice
strategy?
versa. Yeah, I think that's like, and then I think that's like if you're all caught up with everyone, that's how you kind of maintain your endurance so that you can for that final push you can have like everyone going at once. And
That makes sense. That's cool. Yeah. You never being up here, you don't think of rowing, I guess, as like sports
yeah.
but it's really cool. Like all those different things you have to coordinate with balance and strength and timing and the team aspect where like in basketball you could have one guy go slow for a bit and everybody else kind of passes it along or shoots or whatever.
Well, for that it's like everyone has, for something like basketball there's different positions and everyone has like a different role to play.
Yeah, that's true.
But when you're in a boat, it's like everyone has the same role and you have to have the same amount of consistency and effort.
Yeah. What is the point of the coxswain then? Coxswain?
They can do like, so like let's say everyone's rowing at the same time. You don't really have a lot of, if everyone's going at the same time, you can't really steer because like the same amount of force is on the left side as is on the right side. So you can't really turn left or right. So they have like a little dial that kind of controls like the small rudder in the back.
Mm.
And then they'll also be the kind of people that will kind of tell you, okay, we don't want to burn out, so even seats row. They're kind of like the brain of the.
Okay. Do they paddle?
No.
Oh.
They'll do the workouts sometimes depending on how cool they are.
If they're cool, will they do them?
Yeah, they'll do the workouts. It was frustrating to me to be like, it's nice to have someone cheering you on, but at the same time, it sucks to be criticized by a coxswain that doesn't have the same level of effort that you have.
Responsibilities.
Yeah, and obviously I didn't stay with it, so I can't speak like I showed a bunch of devotion, but like it still sucks when you're putting in hard work and you have someone that's job is steering and coordinating. Well, their job is necessary, but at the same time, they don't have the same level of intensity that you have.
Yeah, and it's like a guard telling the quarterback like, "Yo, you should have thrown that better."
Yeah,
it's like you're blocking, I'm throwing, and doing a lot of other shit. Like, we have different roles here, man. And that doesn't say you can't criticize, but it's like a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you something that was popping in my head. There's a idea I'm trying to work out right now. What?
I don't know. I'm just giddy with anticipation.
I have a mini goal, a personal goal to make Colorado the best state possible.
And how is that, or what's your vision for that?
I think the way I'm wired, I want to make myself right as much as I can before I try to make my family right. And then from there you branch out to your community, and then from there your town, and then state.
Yeah, that's a healthy ideology.
Yeah. And so, and it's always like a constant process of maintaining those different inner circles, but eventually the goal would be to branch out to, I think it's like somewhat attainable because it's not the world, or it's not even like the universe or the world or all the countries or the country itself necessarily. It's the state, So it's like out of grasp, but closer than all those other things I just mentioned.
Yeah.
And then I guess I'm a native here, so I have a little bit of a heart for the place, and I'd like to see it prosper. And part of it's you got to start somewhere, and also there's a lot of things going wrong right now in many different aspects. Like I personally feel like different places in our societies.
Sorry, I don't know why I'm apologizing, but
He's apologizing for the children.
Yeah.
I feel like different parts of our society's leadership positions have not taken enough responsibility for the type of power they're trying to wield.
Yeah.
Broad scale.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's like they're kind of just holding positions.
Yes.
Rather than.
Yeah. I think if one is to take on responsibility, they deserve more leadership. But therefore, if you're going to act like a leader, you must take responsibility.
You're obligated.
Yes. And under that, to be a good leader, you wield said leadership well. And because the type of person can wield it poorly and hurt people, and then also not taking up responsibility is how things decay and break.
Yeah.
So we need these things to continue to play, and we need them to be well balanced. And I think they're off right now. And you have to start somewhere to try to apply positive force on these things to make them better, right? And so why not Colorado? Try to make it like an example. And while like geography and culture and the politics and the history and maybe visions for the future are going to differ between states, you can still have a good idea of like, to have a goal of like, our different inner sectors are actually performing very well right now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some states could take a note from at least one of the sectors each state, that'd be cool. And that's very like maybe idealistic, but the idea, I think partially through this, is it's just fun to talk to people. I'm very curious and I like that, but then also to maybe try to connect ideas and also people together
Yeah.
to figure things out a little bit better, because I think we're not doing everything right now, and I feel like we have the power to be doing a lot more things right. And part of it, I think, is poor leadership in many different areas, like I said. And so, and I think also part of that is the words people are using are ill-defined sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's part of being a poor leader is part of being a good leader is being able to speak well.
Mm-hmm.
When you meet a guy or girl that can articulate themselves very well to you, you almost step in line just by being in their proximity.
Yeah, you've probably heard me say a lot. I know that doesn't quite cover what you mean by Well, sorry, I
No,
kind
you're
of
good.
interrupted.
No, you're good. No, if you have something, you can say.
No, that was just me saying, like, I don't articulate pretty well. Like, you heard me just kind of like a stutter. I think it's because I don't know exactly what I want to say at the time. But yeah, like I say and a lot. I just said it a couple moments ago.
Yeah. And I guess personally, I stutter sometimes. What helps me is talking really slow. I think in this last 5 minutes, I've been talking a bunch. I try to be very slow with it, because when you speed up, I start to stutter.
Yeah.
Stutter too. So, yeah, that's something that's helped me personally. But to weave together maybe thoughts and ideas and concepts to hopefully divorce ourselves from this fucking stupid polarization. It's like very rarely is an extremist right on either side.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because I feel like I could have the same political view. Well, I could be on the same side as an extremist, but think that they're still nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like we could have like the same core values, but you're wanting to take it to such a nuts level of like, it can only be this way.
Yeah.
Where there's the people that are a little closer to the middle are like, yeah, I disagree with you, but like, maybe there's like a middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's unfair to be like, things should only be this way.
Yeah. 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 And I think it's useful to take into account those extremisms, but I think it's most practical and what's actually going to be most reliable to employ into reality, the path in the center between the two.
Yeah.
Because I think what they do is they get a few things right and then a few things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so all it's doing is sifting through the shit to find the good things on both sides. And then the tough process of weaving those two opposite, I don't know, it depends on the context, but two opposite possibly values or facts or concepts or ideas, weaving them together the best you can to do the best solution we can in the moment, you know? And with context, that gets a little bit more defined, especially once you have all the information at play. And part of that is like people aren't operating fully on the information, and sometimes we need more information, and sometimes like literally it's not available, and then other times it's available, but either the people that know about it aren't dispersing it, or they know about it but keep it in the shadows, even when it's like most likely factual, you know, like science is never 100% wrapped up, you know, especially
that's one of the big things about science is that it can be proven wrong.
Yeah.
They don't treat it like an absolute.
Yeah, like the other day I was listening to a guy talk about how we really need to listen to what our fundamentals of like evolutionary biology dictate. And he was one that's a big proponent of that. But he was like, if tomorrow there was a study or not even a theory, like an actual hardcore example of somebody showing and proving evolutionary theory wrong, he's like, I would have to accept that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's very, I don't know, that's very scientific to do, to understand that these things that we're going to assume are at play right now and maybe set in stone in a way, they might have to be updated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah,
I'm sorry. There's a lot of background.
there's a lot of fucking kids.
What are they doing?
They're throwing triangles at each other?
I don't know. You didn't throw triangles as a kid?
I don't know. I threw Bakugan at people. Did you ever have a Bakugan?
Yeah. I never knew like a thing about them, but they were cool to have at the time.
The TV show was pretty good. At least the first season that I remember.
Sorry. Kind of back to what you were saying. Sorry. No.
You're good.
I think where a lot of problems come from is where science and politics kind of blend together. Because I think you could propose something that's factual. Well, so let me just use climate change as an example.
Okay.
As I don't know too much about. I mean, I've taken classes, but I'm not a professional.
Yeah.
I think that it's bad when you relate a certain science to a certain side of the political spectrum, because you could have someone, let's say, and this kind of comes back to the extreme left and the extreme right. You could have someone that you could have some perfectly correct science, like something that couldn't be, well, I don't want to say couldn't be disproven, but something that proves that like climate change is an actual thing. Let's say, as the left kind of represents that pretty well.
Yeah.
You could have someone that's completely on the right that will just disprove that, not because they have facts against it, just purely because they don't agree with the political philosophies of the side that presents it or promotes it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And so it's some things that it's like diet's a really interesting one.
Yeah.
Where, like, you could split it many different ways, but like vegetarian, carnivore, especially lately, like carnivore diet is getting more and more popularity, it seems like, slowly. But that's like the two spectrums, right? And some people function really well on a vegetarian diet, and some people function very well on an all meat diet. And it's like, I like this example because it's like our bodies are all very different and can adapt to different things. So there's not, right now it seems like, especially with what the science is showing and what we know now, there's still things to really iron out and research in the diet space. And this is something I have a interest in. I'm not maybe a professional in, but a casual interest in. And what it's showing is more like, it really depends on like your history and stuff like that, and your genetic makeup and
like
current factors and illnesses,
family history,
and training style as well, like how much energy you're burning and what type of endurance you're looking to have and stuff like that will really influence it. And so you have to take all those factors into play to get a vague idea of what a good diet might look for somebody.
Yeah.
And you get these people that are like vegetarian only, or paleo only, or keto only, or carnivore, or the one that you can use fish, pescatarian only, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, or Mediterranean, that's another one. And it's like, two scientists were talking, I was listening to the other day, and they're like discussing all the science, and all this is a big part of it. But one interesting part of it was, they were like, if you're doing something and it doesn't feel good, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like so easy, but makes sense. Like if you're really trying to push this vegan thing, but you're getting headaches like 3 times a day, maybe try a little bit of meat or something like that in your diet and see if that helps.
Mm-hmm. Like one of my good friends back home was raised vegan, and I think it's for both health and moral reasons. But like fits really well with him, to my knowledge. Like
Mm-hmm.
he operates amazing under like the fully vegan diet,
Mm-hmm.
and he enjoys what he eats too.
Yeah.
It's not like a chore for him. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, lunch. But he no, he enjoys it, and I mean, I'm not closed off to alternatives.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with that in mind, I mean, I eat horribly actually. I don't know. I'm open to alternatives. I
Mhm.
think I don't really know what my body operates best through though.
Yeah. 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 And it's all variable. You know, you look at him and he's doing well, and you might get on it and feel like shit.
Yeah,
Or you might feel good,
it's
you
not
know?
it's not all
1 + 1.
yeah, it's not all inclusive. It's not like
Yeah.
everyone's going to react the same way.
Yeah. And you'll get people like vegetarian scientists that'll try to stack data against it, or carnivore scientists trying to stack data against eating vegetables, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they have their own particular arguments, and it's always like this particular issue, because now we have context involved, needs a lot more nuance and taking the individual at heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we come to stuff like political issues, it's a little different, but kind of connecting back to what you're saying is just like politicizing scientific research is a big problem, or politicizing a lot of different issues, like I don't know, like medical care right now with abortions, you know, politicizing that. I think anything that's overly politicized is detrimental to it, you know.
Yeah. Well, so let's say someone had a scientific breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good for them to have a platform that can, really present their findings. But I think when when findings have a political kind of connotation to them, or
Mm.
are or at least perceived to be aligned with political beliefs,
Yeah.
then it would be different. Just for example, if let's say that the right brought up, or the right really backed climate change,
Mm-hmm.
like in the same level that the left did,
Mm-hmm.
would the left be as supportive of it
Mm-hmm.
or would the left be in the same position that the right is right now,
Mm.
and vice versa? That's universal to a bunch of different
Yeah.
things.
Like, are you thinking like they'd almost not? It's all like, I get what you're saying, where it's like not siding with like where the research is, but just siding on towards the opposite of what the enemy, quote unquote, is doing, right?
Yeah, letting your political beliefs guide. Like, don't be like a slave to political beliefs.
Yeah. 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 And I personally lean towards the let people do whatever they want mindset. I guess more of the libertarian mindset.
Like personal liberties and
Yeah.
personal freedoms.
Yeah. Like more of a libertarian mindset. I think a healthy dose of education before maybe that is unleashed for people
Mm-hmm.
is necessarily, like, especially when you talk about maybe drugs or sex, like health classes and maybe drug ed classes, if that's a thing.
Yeah, I think what was good for me in high school, at least, is that our politics teacher wasn't allowed to be biased. Like,
Mhm.
they aren't allowed to teach. They aren't allowed to teach with like a bias on the right or the left. They present kind of what politics looks like without leaning one way or the
Yeah.
other, which is
Yeah.
great. It gives people that freedom
Mhm.
to lean whichever way they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, like, if it's coming from one source, maybe having that source be pretty neutral is good.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes to showcasing an ideology, maybe let both ideologies play out, so you get to see maybe two extremists debate, and then it's up to you to like see who's part of it's going to be who's more articulate, but then also who lays out their ideas and values
Mm-hmm.
a little bit better in front of you, you know, and then you can kind of see that conflict of ideas, so that we hash that out now when it's more intellectual and verbal, so that it's not hashed out in the future with actual knives and pitchforks. right?
Makes sense.
I think that's what it would come to, you know. I think we're really blessed with this ability to die intellectually, and a lot of people see that as a bad thing. And it's a bad thing when you tie your identity to these ideas,
Yeah.
right? Because then it feels like a part of you's dying, when instead, if you take the approach of it's maybe a clone of you, or just a little bit more separation, so that like if one of your personal held beliefs gets crushed, it's less of a blow to you and it's more of a blow to maybe your frame,
Yeah.
and you can fix that and add maybe a little bit more truth. But all these people that wind their identity up into these different politics and religion and stuff like that is when it gets dicey, and then either people don't talk about it or the talking about it is not productive. And then when those words fail, I really worry that that's when physical action feels like it's needed,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when actual deaths take place and not intellectual deaths,
Yeah.
right? So
I'm not really sure where to go. From
yeah,
there.
I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but you don't have to.
I think, well, this kind of comes back to what I was saying before, where people will fall victim to their own loyalties to one side or the other,
Mm-hmm.
and often don't even humor the thought of middle ground,
Yeah.
which is, I think, where you'll find that kind of failure of politics.
Yeah.
Like failure of, or like the death of ideology, like you
Mhm.
said, which then leads to actual.
Yeah. Like maybe having a
Deaths.
third party instead of two, right?
Mhm. But it's hard to have a third party that you trust, especially somewhere where it's like it's so divisive like it is right now,
Hmm.
where if someone disagrees with you, you're going to be like, "Oh, you're biased."
Hmm.
That's kind of the mindset of most like figures these days. To my knowledge, I'm not putting everyone in that demographic, but
Like if it doesn't align with you, you just call it fake news. Is that
Yeah.
kind of what you're talking about?
yeah, that's kind of like, and that goes for both sides.
Mhm.
I've seen that on both sides.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not saying I prefer one over the other, but everyone likes to call each other out for certain stuff like that. But you see it on both sides.
Yeah. 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 And when you see like a story in the news of some right-leaning person slamming a left person, it's like, okay, you might be right, but give it a couple months and they'll be the opposite in
Yeah.
effect. Like both parties kind of fuck up all the time.
It's because they're so quick to not make it a like they're so quick to make it political.
Yeah.
It's like this could have happened, and like the only reason you're making such a huge story about it is that they're opposing parties.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all the news is now, is politics,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's what gets views. In my mind, that's how it goes. But I mean, I could be wrong.
Mhm.
I humor the idea of being wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I don't. And that's the thing too, is what's helpful about talking with somebody else is like understanding you might not know a lot, and just bouncing ideas back and forth really helps iron them out, and he lets you maybe show the dirt on them if there
Mhm.
is any, and clean it up a bit or figure out what to discard from it. And I think this is barely going to show up on the recording, but it is.
It's hard to tell because we can hear it probably without the headphones, and then we can probably hear it with like a little feedback.
Why do you think there's so many kids
I don't
on
know.
campus? They seem
Do you think there's some kind of like little program?
obnoxious too.
Yeah.
Like they're not.
What are they doing?
Yeah.
They're just kind of running around.
I wonder if like parents just drop their kids off here in the summer because school's out.
Yeah, just leave them here.
Yeah. I don't know exactly how that connects to Colorado. I don't really know, to be honest, the politics of Colorado necessarily. I know we have issues. I don't really know the politics, even though I grew up here. And maybe that's because there's just more of a national focus on politics.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's for the better that we don't focus on Colorado politics and maybe just shaping things up in general, you know?
Well, I think it comes back to what you were saying earlier, where you kind of have to build yourself. Well, you didn't say it exactly like this, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of have to start with yourself, then family, then community, then.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to cause change in such a big scale, and then have it work out perfectly.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
you need those building blocks in place to help the transition of the change you want to happen a lot more. The chances of success are going to be better if you already have pieces, like those building blocks made.
What do you mean by those building blocks?
Well, let's say the change you want, let's say the improvements that you want on society, you want to make those on a much grander scale. You kind of have to work your way up. Like,
start smaller.
Yeah, start from like communities to towns to cities.
Mm-hmm.
You have a place. I'm not going to put Ohio on a pedestal. I'm just using it as a frame of reference where Ohio is a swing state, or at least is recognized as a swing state, where it's known to vote like left and right.
Yeah.
But if you really want to cause change, I think you're going to have a much harder time if you don't have like like-minded people that want that change also, which is why you need I'm trying to think how to verbalize this because I haven't really thought about this too much, and I could totally be wrong, because I'm not a campaignist or like anything like that, but like if you wanted to cause change internationally, you have to have like at least people that want that change also. You can't just speak on behalf of a state. Like, let's say presidency, for example. You don't want a president to speak on behalf of a state that doesn't have a lot of people that believe in them or believe in the values that they're representing.
So do you think, to me, what you're saying that kind of reflects like national laws that get passed because they affect all 50 states instead of like maybe making something a state's issue where they can make up their own jurisdictions based on all the 50 different areas?
Because take Alaska for example. The conditions of Alaska are going to have a lot different conditions. Like they're going to have a lot different kinds of necessities than somewhere like Florida, where it's just two completely different places.
Yeah.
You can't really hold them to the I don't want to say it to the same standard, but like things like laws need to be kind of individualized.
Yeah.
And I mean there's good laws that are, I mean like there's like the common sense ones like don't kill. Yeah. We have those standards like don't dox people, don't there's
incite violence.
Standards, good standards to have in place.
Yeah, background checks for weapons, but there's varying gradients for that. Different licensures, drinking laws, stuff like that. Yeah,
it's just totally. It's hard to encompass all these different environments under one frame of reference or one system.
And I think it's really cool because it's like something where instead of making it a national approach where it hits all 50, instead just you're almost like just quickly developing 50 different studies almost. And you're like, yo, you guys do your own thing and handle it how you want. And some states are going to do similar things, and you can see how those play out in their different jurisdictions. And then from that, you can probably extract like a general idea of what is all commonly held, you know, depending on the particular issue, you know, like, I don't know, like with the abortion thing, it's like, I don't like abortion, but I also don't like the idea of mandating things national. Like, I don't like all of it, you know?
Yeah, like someone like me, I personally, like, I don't like the idea of having to get an abortion.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to tell someone that they're not allowed
They
to.
can't, right? Yeah.
At least that's just me. That's just morally, I don't like it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, morally, it's like, it's not really my call.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you're not one of the two people that produced it, you know?
Yeah.
It should be really just like between those two and maybe their doctor and maybe their family. Like this shouldn't be a national issue. It should be a personal issue, right?
Someone's gonna hear this and dox me.
um, but like I understand that it's a hard blow to have, like if Roe v. Wade was to be overturned, but at the same time, that's like such a national thing that affects everybody that maybe it is best to be left up to the states. That's a question I've been playing around with, you know?
There's a lot of things that, and this is probably poor quality to have. There's just a lot of things that I just kind of don't want to be involved in. And abortion is one, for example. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really want to be a part of that
The
argument.
overall decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily either. It just really is interesting to me, you know? And I think what's ill-defined is like where the right line is, because I think most people would agree that a day before birth is maybe a little too far of a line.
That feels a little intense.
Right. And you don't really know. I hear like with the 6-week law, I think was it, with that they did in Texas, like a lot of people were saying that you don't even know if you're pregnant at that point. So that seems maybe a little too early to put the line there. So it seems like somewhere I've heard like before the 3rd trimester and maybe like after 6 weeks, somewhere to put the line of like make your decision at this point seems to make sense to me, you know? And I think until we get like a full consensus on where that line should be, and maybe it should be a variable line that states get to decide, you know? It's a tough question, and I don't know all the answers. And it's tough because it involves personal lives of people, and it's tough because it also involves people making arguments for the lives of people that can't speak, technically, you know? Or at least that's what their argument is. So there's like that issue of like the issue of those that can't advocate for themselves. And some criticisms that are thrown back and forth is like, well, you're only advocating or using that as an argument because they can't speak for themselves, so you're speaking for them, you know? And it just makes it more dicey, you know? The whole thing is very dicey of like, yeah, it seems like most people, I think like the polls are most people support allowing the choice to be out there, but which I think is good, that most people are aligned with that. I think what's really tricky and where there's so much variability is where should the line be drawn? Because I think if you were to poll, I think there's definitely polls out there of like whether it should be a thing, and I know a majority of people would like it to be pro-choice, but then I don't know if it's been polled on, but I think the majority of people would agree that like a week before date of conception is maybe too far, right? And so figuring out where that line is, because if we all mostly agree on like, yes, let's make it a thing, well, we still have to draw some sort of a line, I would assume, right? So, and I don't know the answer to that. I would assume maybe before the 3rd trimester is what I hear, which makes sense to me, I think. And sometime after, when women know that they're pregnant, like the majority, like 90% will have some sort of indication of pregnancy, you know, so that you know, and then you can make an informed decision on whether to keep it or not, while still in this window of like, I don't know, like being 8 months and carrying that and then ditching it seems wild, right? To me, that seems like maybe you should have decided a little earlier. And this is also, I guess it should be defined that it's under the assumption that these are like normal circumstances. Nobody's life's at threatened. Nobody was raped or anything like that. These are, I'm talking in the context of normal circumstances, and yeah. So that's a tough issue, and that's something we got to figure out on because everybody's at their necks, each other's necks at it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to put any opinion in it if you don't want to. At this point, I'm
Probably
spitting.
not.
And if you don't want, yeah,
It's okay.
yeah. If you don't, and it's tough. It's weird. And each issue has uh, its own environment or ecosystem to it, however
Mm-hmm.
you want to think of it, of like different pitfalls to it, different features and bugs to it, and to me it's fun in the sense that like it's not it's a new problem every time. It's not the same old, you know, where
Mm-hmm.
you have a um almost algorithm to figure it out, you know. It's kind of fun in the sense of like I had this thought the other day with some issue, but like because different issues strike people in different ways to their identity, even if they like can separate themselves from it and be rational about it, it still strikes you in different ways. Like the abortion thing is, it strikes women in a particular way, right? And it strikes people that are religious in a particular way. But then like maybe like things like vaccines are kind of similar to that, where it strikes people that are religious in a different way, or
Mm-hmm.
people that have different ideas of what government oversight is like, and so different people on how they believe government should be
Like the
structured.
role it should play.
Yeah, how much government should be needed. That will strike people on how they tend, whether they like a little bit more regulation or a little bit less, you know. Like all these issues like touch on different things like climate change. Um, it's all has its own properties to it, which is
Mm-hmm.
cool, I think, in the sense that it's not the same old, you know. You're always dealing with a new deck of cards almost,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's not to say that they don't maybe rob people of some of their lives and hurt people and cause tragedy, but as somebody that likes to think, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you something to think about, is I guess what I'm coming from, you know. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No, I'm sorry.
You're good.
I'm at a loss.
And so I don't like. I'm trying I guess circle this back around. Like, I don't know what that looks like to like how each individual person will fit into making the state better, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it does start at the individual because that's in your scope of practice, like directly, you know. The best thing you can control is yourself.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of moving pieces. It's not like, I mean, everyone's different, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of moving pieces to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the person that's lived with you the longest is you
Mhm.
know? And so I guess like trying to bring more empowerment to people to make their lives as strong and fulfilled as they can would be a goal of mine, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe not everybody can reach high levels, but we can at least encourage, you know?
Yeah.
And then the ones that really do progress, we can amass like a little group around those people that will try to develop policies that might help people that aren't quite there yet, you know? And I don't know. I would like to see a nice little overhaul of our education system. We might, just in general, of trying to do this endeavor, have a bit of an advantage that issues are politicized at the national level, but not, and only sometimes politicized at the state level, you know?
Mhm.
And then, like, I very rarely hear about issues within Fort Collins itself, like politically, right? Or
Yeah.
legislature wise, right?
Mhm.
And so that might be something to our advantage, you know, because then it's like less about feelings and more about like, okay, what should we do? What's the
Mhm.
data? What's the problem? What's at play? Let's figure out how to affect this best so it helps everybody, you know?
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's a big goal, but I think if everybody was to want to obtain that, and I don't know why you wouldn't want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why even try to get better in life if you want to see the state fail, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the people that, and it might be virtue signaling, but like over criticize the U.S. for a laundry list of grievances. To a certain point, I'm like, I want to talk to you and like really hash this out and like listen to you. But at the same time, it's like, if you have all these issues, like, why stay? And this isn't me telling you to go if you have those issues, but like, if you move into a house and you like have a laundry list of issues with the house, like, there's other houses around.
Mm-hmm.
You're not, nobody's forcing you necessarily to stay here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, that means you see, even if you have this grand scale list of problems that you personally think that you could rectify if you had enough power yourself. Well, to me, if you're staying, like, it means you believe in something that we got going on here,
Yeah.
right? Like, you haven't jumped ship completely. And so I'd like to talk to those kind of people. I want to talk to everybody. That's
Yeah.
partly what I'm doing here, is just really hash it out. And I want to find, like, I want to talk to anybody. I'd like to talk to people that disagree with me.
I think one of the problems with, not there's a problem with what you're doing. There's just a problem with just reaching out to some people, is that some people don't want to be civil.
Mm.
And that's not everyone. That's like that comes back to like the hard left or the hard right.
Mm-hmm.
Is that some people aren't willing to be civil or open up
Yeah.
the idea of them being wrong.
Yeah. And I wish, I don't know, their minds would change on that a little bit. I hope maybe like it depends on the person, but sometimes you might catch a particular person on their own self-righteousness and
Mhm.
they think that they could come on and use this as a way to broadcast. And I'm fine with that if they think that'll work for them. I'm a big fan of the idea that you let the unreasonable speak so that their own words will show that they're unreasonable,
Mhm.
right? Like, I would not be against having a murderer or a pedophile or a KKK member on this platform, not because I believe in their ideas necessarily, but I think it's
To kind of expose people
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
them
Mm-hmm.
and kind of let their ideas or let their actions. I'm trying to think of how to word this.
Let them show that they're unreasonable,
Yeah,
right?
kind of to like expose themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the argument people will yield against that is like, well, people might hear that and actually side with them, and then you're converting people. And it's a very, like, I don't know, if we're doing that, we're really failing at teaching people how to think critically, first off. And also, that's like a low estimate of like people in general, I think. And I want to think on this a little bit more, but it's like, we've seen in many different aspects trying to put things into the dark, and that doesn't work. Like, the war on drugs didn't eliminate drugs in our nation. We tried to sweep it on the rug and over police it, and it just became a disparity issue and an underground market selling issue.
There's a word for it. I'm trying to remember. It's called the something. I think it's called the Streisand effect, where it's like the more you try and cover up something, the more people will grow curious and look into it, and then the more exposure it gets.
Yeah, exactly.
I could have gotten the name wrong. But that's something I've heard quite a bit about.
Yeah, well, because like, if something's behind a curtain, everybody's like, what the hell's under this curtain? And then you get really curious people that might be a little bit more open to new ideas, and then they get hooked in.
It's like your friend having like a secret from you. You really like, you might not need to know, but like the moment you know that there's like
something in the air.
Yeah, you want to know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Or instead, I'm a big believer in like over-education, which means all the ideas. It doesn't mean what ideas you think are good. it means all of the ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's hash them out in like the most reasonable discussion we can. Be like, maybe 1% of this is good and the rest is pretty shit, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or some of it might be great, you know. It's like people lose the nuance in things where it's not black or white like we're talking about with extremism, but there's a lot of nuance in our complex issues that
Mm-hmm.
people don't pay enough homage to, you know. And I hope to change that, I guess, but just by talking to people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the big issue is like people might be apprehensive because it's a public thing, and they're worried that they will be shown to be unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like fair that you want to protect yourself, and at the same time I hope that you work out these ideas a little better then. I think that's the other thing is like there's an under information on some things.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, like I think I consider. Now, obviously, this is coming from my own perspective of myself.
Yeah.
But I consider myself a fairly reasonable person. And
Yeah.
people can tell me otherwise. But like,
No, yeah.
I don't know. This is just kind of. I think it's kind of. I mean, people can say that they're reasonable, and I know I just said I'm reasonable, but I mean, it's kind of hard to be your own judge of character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I think we're fed a lot of this. Your neighbor's hyper extremist towards this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're fed a lot of that idea, but I don't think that actually plays out. I think a lot of people are reasonable. I think they are. I think the majority is. I think there's a very small subset of loud people doing all these extremist ideas. And I think the reasonable people, depending on the issue, have their head down and are just doing their thing, right? But then when they hear something on a particular issue, I think they take a pretty even-headed approach to most things, you know?
I think it comes back to like those unreasonable people that kind of tarnish the reputation of both sides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think there's good values in liberalism, and I think there's good values in conservatism. And it's when we hyper overcorrect towards those different sides in their own ways where it's a overcorrection. Like in the word itself, like we went too far that way, and now we have to, and there's a possibility of the rubber band effect where you went so far to the left and now you have to rubber band to the right. And it's like, can we be a little less haphazard maybe with this, you know? I don't know. I feel like I'm ranting at this point.
It's okay. I was gonna make a joke, but then I didn't really want to disrupt the flow.
You're good. You
I
can.
was gonna wait for like an awkward silence, then be like, yeah. So then like gosh, I can't think of it. I was just gonna think of like something random, like you got a movie you like?
What's your favorite color of yarn?
You big yarn man?
Big yarn guy. What do you think about the idea of allowing all ideas to be public, which means bad ideas to be public, like hypothetically? And you don't have to take a opinion on this if you don't want to, if you don't want that to be put out there, but like having somebody that's maybe not of the best character or best ideas.
So initially, I think that initially my mind goes to, expose all of the ideas, and then the unreasonable ones will clearly be shown as unreasonable.
Yeah.
Though, I think you'll have people that are not so much against ideas being represented, but are against certain ideas. Some ideas that kind of intersect, that don't like mesh well together. And I guess this comes back to I've brought this up a lot, Or like someone from the hard right doesn't enjoy their kids being taught slang from the left,
Mm.
and vice versa. It's not. It's like there's some people from the left that don't like things to be taught to the right. That's another reason I'm grateful for the education I had, where they didn't take a political stance. They just taught us politics.
Yeah.
They didn't try and tell you who to believe. They encouraged you to believe what you want, and just to teach you what politics looks like. I think the problem we have is that it's like you said, I think most people are reasonable, but you do have these reputations that are built on those extremists that get all the attention because they're
Mhm.
extremists, that really kind of create that tension between others, that really kind of makes them even more divided. Like
Mhm.
someone that sees like someone from the left or the right that sees a right or left extremist, it kind of makes it hard for them, like not everyone, but like someone that you see that represents the left that does something wrong, and for the right also, you're gonna have a hard time not seeing someone that that is on the left, not kind of it's kind of hard to not relate them to the person that you saw. And
Mhm.
like you said, most people are reasonable. That's just how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, do you see a problem in posting like a conversation I might have with somebody that's affiliated with the KKK?
I think there's probably some legal stuff that goes into that.
Mm.
I'm not defending them. I'm
Yeah.
just saying there's probably there's probably going to be a lot of, I don't want to say consequences, but there's like a lot of moving pieces that come with that.
You
So,
think
like,
legally?
I
Moving
think
pieces?
that there's going to be support, and I think there's going to be backlash. And some
Yeah.
of the backlash, because I don't know. I'm not going to act like I know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. I mean, personally, I think that I disagree heavily with their beliefs.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to take that stand where you're like, yeah, like everyone is entitled to their own beliefs, but when it's kind of hard to be like, it's kind of hard to want to be a free thinker when you have free thinkers that are so heavily I don't know.
I know what I
I'm
think. I know
having a
what-
really hard time trying to verbalize
yeah.
what's going through my mind.
Like a thinker that's gone way off the rails of
Yeah.
like, yeah. Yeah. I think the thing is though, like, they still exist whether you like it or not. And so, and that's a balance I want to figure out. What's best is like, do you present the information fully and just like raw, of like, maybe I just sit here and nod for 2 hours and let them speak their rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's more utility in that. I'm still trying to figure this out, you know? I don't know if there's more utility in that, of like just being able to see them line out their whole belief system, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can kind of pick that apart and be like, well, this is obviously wrong. You know, they use some statistics here, but then they draw a really mishanded conclusion, let's say, you know, like I've seen some interviews, you know, so I have an idea of what they would say,
Mhm.
you know, and obviously it'd be racist, but they get into details on that, right? And so I don't know if the best tack is allowing it to just play and then letting that showcase itself. And I think a lot of people would worry that then you platform that person, you know,
Like
is
you're
the
giving
word.
them exposure.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, well, I mean, what do you mean by exposure? Like exposing bad values? Or obviously maybe some people might like what they hear, sadly, but then maybe other people will be like, because I have a problem with it, like just not allowing it.
It's kind of like a gray area.
It is
Where,
gray.
like, there's going to be different outcomes, and some of those outcomes might not be what you intended for that
Yeah.
exposure.
Like, Do you know Darrell Davis online?
No.
He's a musician, but what work he's famous for is he's a black man, and he's converted I think he said over 200 KKK members out of the KKK. Like,
Oh.
he's had KKK members mail him their robes and be like, I listened to you and I'm over this now, based on like, and what he'll normally do is have one-on-one conversations with them, which is very interesting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And some people criticize him for talking to him. And it's like through the dialogue of talking to him, usually for the first and it's a little bit different, I realize, because he's not recording these and posting them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he went through and on one interview and like discussed how he'll sit down with them and basically just like listen to them the whole time. And, you know, depending on the person, he might engage it a little differently, but sometimes he'll just listen the whole time. And like, if we're doing that type of thing, the person that's more racist would go home and they're thinking, I just had a 3-hour conversation with the dude I thought was my enemy, and he didn't try to attack me. He actually listened to me, which makes you feel like you're more human and you feel like you have value and stuff like that. And that puts like a little good parasite in their brain
Mm-hmm.
of like it breaks that mold of like this color of people is bad, right? Because they have a very positive interaction with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe in the second one, he was talking about how they might like bring up some statistics on how blacks score lower or something like that. And he's like, I acknowledge some of those statistics, but at the same time, like, I understand that this guy I'm talking to maybe didn't finish high school and I have a PhD,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and he doesn't shove that in his face and make it a conflict, but he just very rationally and almost caringly like disproves these previous things. And
Mm-hmm.
again, it's through like a neutral, if not positive, friendly conversation.
Yeah.
And the guy goes back again, and like these parasites positively develop in their brain, and then eventually like he converts them, and he's converted hundreds, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I understand the difference is like he's not recording these and posting them, but at the same time, like if you recorded a success story, that itself could be its own work of creation to show as a shining example of like somebody transitioning out, which might help other people transition out, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to get people out of that mindset, right? So then it's like, I don't think I'm always against the right tack of like total avoidance of bad things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the people that I think acknowledge them and then confront them correctly, that can solve these problems.
Yeah.
Because if you just shove it under the rug, it's still there, you know? It's like when you ban Donald Trump, he still exists. Maybe his presence is a little bit different, but he's still out there.
It's just you don't have to look at him in the same place that he was before.
Yeah. And I don't know what to do with that problem itself, but I don't like the idea of shoving it under the rug. And maybe it's an overcorrection on my part. That might be one extremism. And then on my part, it might be an overcorrection to just totally platform them and let them get their word out,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
In my mind, I mean, this isn't me knocking the left or anything.
Yeah.
Or Twitter. It's in my mind. It's like you have people that support. You know, I don't want to say free thinking, but like ideas. You have people that support like just the concept of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this isn't me slandering anyone, but you have like, if you want, and this is kind of, I think this kind of aligns with what you're talking about. Like, why ban someone like Trump
Mm-hmm.
when if you think that his ideas are, you know, crazy,
Mm-hmm.
won't it just kind of speak for itself? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you need to get rid of someone's ideas to I'm I'm trying to think of how to say this. I don't think you need to ban someone that has different beliefs than you to cause the change that you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a personal interest in, like, because we see a lot of this individual, like, especially on like YouTube, people popping up with their own platforms, you know?
Yeah.
And I have a big interest in many different like micro domains or categories, how it's really interesting to me of like people on both sides are very righteous in their beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's really interesting to me the couple of times I've heard like one platformer invite the opposite side on, and then there's like a very big debacle on like terms and agreements and like not trapping the other one, and and even like when it seems like it's very an even playing field, like the one side that, if you're given an even playing field, denies the invite, right? Because they're worried about getting publicly disproven, you know? I think I have a lot of interest of that, in that it's like, we need you guys that have millions of people that listen, and probably the majority agree with what you're saying, because you're the leaders in a sense. We need you to hash this out and be respectful about it, but like figure out what the actual middle ground is, so that we can stop all this fucking fighting.
I think there's a lack of maturity in politics.
I agree with that.
Modern politics.
Yeah. And it's like, I think that's part of the responsibility that's not being taken, or maybe action that's not being taken as a leader. It's like, you have all this responsibility as a leader, and it's like, can you wield it so that we can figure things out? And I know maybe you should be a little bit less extremist so you don't get proven to be a buffoon, but like, you're acting like a buffoon and you're going to hide a bit so you don't get exposed. It's like, that doesn't serve anybody. That kind of propagates some possibly wrong ideas. And if we could let our ideas fight, like I was connecting to earlier, then we don't personally have to fight, right? Yeah.
So, you invested in any stocks?
I am. I don't like to check my app though. With how things are tanking right now.
I threw money into Twitter just in case, because it was down, and I was like, this could be beneficial.
Yeah. That's smart. Do you think you'll buy it?
I think he already has like something in place. Like, I think the wheels are in motion. I don't think it's his yet, but I think they've established some kind of agreement on.
Okay. Last I checked, he had it on hold.
Yeah, I don't know what the current status is.
Oh, man.
What time is it?
How long do you think we've been going?
3 hours?
Yeah, a little more.
4 hours?
No.
Not quite?
Not quite.
3.5 hours.
Is there a zipper on your shoe?
Yeah. Someone in my family, for one of my birthdays a while ago, got me these pair of laceless shoes. And I never even used the zipper because they fit my feet like properly.
Do you unzip them to? Are you supposed to unzip them?
I mean, you're probably supposed to, but I don't need to.
You just slip them on.
Yeah, and I can run in these, and they're perfect.
Do you like them?
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. What do we do? What do we do, Hutch? How do we fix the world?
I don't know.
Do we fix it through chemistry?
Yeah, we'll mix some chemicals and figure something out.
Do you know what happens when you boil gas?
You get plasma.
Do you?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm not that far.
I heard a story. I don't want to get this wrong. When the internet first came out, one of the first books uploaded was the Anarchist Cookbook. And this kid got a hold of it. I think he was like a young teen or preteen. And his parents were gone. And he started boiling gas in his kitchen which is like gas is flammable, fires are flammable,
Mm-hmm.
all that shit. And man, I wish I knew he followed the cookbook to a T. And I guess his dad was a chemist. And his mom came home and was like freaking out and crying, like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're trying to make a bomb? Like, he didn't really know what he was doing. He was just like following the cookbook, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, wait till your dad gets home. And he's like worried about it the whole time. And dad gets home, who's a practicing chemist. And he like outlines all the stuff that the cookbook told him, like all the chemistry of like why it's safe to boil the gas because like for some reason it won't explode at a particular temperature or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. And the dad like listens to him and pauses, and in front of the wife is like, technically he's right, and like kind of passes the son off even though he's like trying to make a bomb.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I can't speak for boiling gas. I think from what I've learned though, when you get like to a level like the sun is a ball of gas,
Mm.
um, you get to a point where things start fusing.
Mm.
Like it's so hot that they're fusing,
Yeah.
and there's fusing and not fusing.
Fusion.
Mm-hmm. There's fusion and fission,
Yeah.
and I think things get so hot that they start fusing, and then they turn to something else. So you get like helium. I forget the order, but I think it eventually gets to the point where it turns into iron. And I think that's where it stops
Oh.
in the cycle of stars. I could be wrong though.
How do you produce the Philosopher's Stone?
I don't know. I don't have. I can't tell you that.
Do you not know that?
It's I can't. I'm not. No comment.
Do you have an idea of what I'm referencing?
Harry Potter.
Oh, is that in Harry Potter?
Isn't that one of the names of one of the books?
Chamber of Secrets.
I think there's a Philosopher's Stone.
Maybe.
The Sorcerer's Stone or something like that.
I have a micro interest in alchemy. The like
I'm
pre-sciences.
sorry I'm laughing, but I know it's like a... I don't know. The name alchemy is just kind of funny.
Why?
I've heard of like... No, I've heard people like memes on Instagram that will be like, yeah, while you guys were playing video games, I was inside studying alchemy.
I read a fiction book, and I usually don't read
Is it
fiction.
The Alchemist?
The Alchemist, yeah.
I've read that.
Yeah. Where he's trying to find the philosophers. No, he's trying to find treasure, but there's a reference to the philosopher's
yeah, I
stone.
thought he was trying to find treasure, and then at the same time, I think it goes into people also trying to make gold.
Yeah. That's really
which
interesting
is
to me.
what alchemy is.
Yeah.
Well, not just making gold, but it's one of the ideas.
Of mixing chemicals and boiling and what, I don't know. There's a bunch of words connected to it. But I read that book and I started to get into alchemy a little bit. I really liked the
What'd you
idea
make?
of it. I didn't make anything. I didn't practice anything. I just read, and I don't know. It was silly. But then I watched the Full Metal Alchemist, the anime series.
I know of it. I haven't really watched
That's
it.
a really cool one. That's got really cool plot points. What do we do, Hutch?
I don't know. Books are nice. I listen to audiobooks sometimes.
What do you think about the Solvin, Colorado idea?
See, I haven't lived here long enough to know what the core problems are,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm probably not the best person to ask.
What problems do you have with Colorado? It could be city or state or school or personal.
Personally, I mean, I'm not anti-vax by any means.
Yeah.
And I never thought like, oh, there's a microchip in the vaccine,
Yeah.
and we're gonna be fucking mind controlled.
Yeah.
No. I think the problem with me it was that I didn't like being forced to get it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was never like suspicious. Like, well, I don't want to say that. I think there was like mild suspicion of like something could be not really suspicion, but like unease.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm like, what if there's something wrong with this?
Yeah.
But like, I didn't. I mean, I'm over it. I didn't particularly like things like that.
The mandate part, right?
Yeah, the mandate
The force part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most things done by force should be questioned in
Mhm.
general, right?
And this isn't me knocking like the politics of Colorado, but just something that, and I could be wrong, just identifying something that I feel is kind of hypocritical
Mm.
of what the values that not everyone, but like some of the values that this state has, which is and I could be wrong. Is Colorado like a pro-choice kind of
I think
state?
so. I don't know that actually.
I don't know. So I won't speak like I know, like
Yeah.
absolutely, but like when you have, let's just humor the idea of you're pro-choice because it's your body,
Mm-hmm.
but then you're also like, yeah, but if you want to go to school here, you have to get this vaccine.
You have to put this into your body.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's just something that irks me. It's
Yeah.
not like I don't feud over it,
Mhm.
but it's like, come on.
Yeah. But even like regardless of Colorado, most like university people lean that pro-choice route.
Yeah,
And then for them to enforce that for your health and safety.
and I'm not gonna be like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I'm just gonna go to a different school. 'Cause
Yeah.
I like it here.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna let that get in the way of it.
Yeah. But it's still something you would prefer not to be a part of
Mhm.
your worries for education.
Yeah, it was mainly because I was worried of like possible side effects. And again, I don't know. It's not.
Yeah.
I didn't make it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna let some website on Google
Yeah.
tell me what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. But like, usually they have a longer track record of testing these things, right?
Yeah, that
There's
was
one-
one of my worries, is that like something like this. Now, to their credit, a lot of people were focused on this. Like, this was like an international effort,
Mm-hmm.
whereas not all vaccines are.
Mm.
In my mind, and again, I could be wrong. I don't want to sound like I'm speaking fact.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, though, yeah, it just felt rushed.
Yeah. Yeah.
For good reason, it was rushed, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It's too fast for me to be comfortable with just trusting that it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially when like some institutions have been made claims and then those were proven wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I can bring up examples, but it's one of those things where it's like that's a little bit of abuse of your leadership that I was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
of like proposing that you're right and this is how the way things are. And then once the dust settles and we pick it apart, it's like, oh, you were very wrong about this and actually had no backup to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, they're like, take this and don't ask questions. And you're like, well, last time something similar happened like this and we trusted, you kind of abused that trust.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
and I'm not gonna be the person that like is like speaking against the vaccine.
Yeah.
Because I mean, everyone should. I don't want to tell everyone what to believe, but I feel like, I mean, I should want it to be good and like
Mhm.
successful and, work
Yeah.
properly.
yeah.
And I don't know. I think this also comes back. Sorry to go back to politics. Like, even if you don't like the president that we have, you should at least like want the best out of what we have.
For the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So rather than just spending your time complaining about who's in charge, just try to improve it with
Mhm.
the means that we have right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember who told me. Someone told me that. I thought that was kind of good.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Chance the Rapper. There's a couple albums ago. The Coloring Book album, I think it's on. He had a line, don't believe in the kings, believe in the kingdom. You
Mhm.
know? And it's like, let's believe in our values of the USA and then believe in our kings, in our president.
Mhm.
And I think we should pay respects to both, but hyper respect to the USA maybe,
Mhm.
Yeah. You have any final thoughts?
No.
No?
I'm drained.
Yeah, we've been talking for a while, man.
Mhm. I'm all used up.
So I do a little thing at the end. I have a question from the previous podcast person that's going to be asked to you. And you'll get to ask a question that'll be given to the next person I talk to.
Do I know the previous one?
No.
Oh.
This question was written this morning at 2 a.m. That's what I was doing last night. The question is, I can't read his handwriting. What is the best question?
Way to put me on the spot like that. Best question. That is tough. They're throwing me through a loophole right now. Because this is purely opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess most of these questions are supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
Best question. Can it be something dumb?
Oh, yeah.
I'm struggling so hard right now.
That's okay. It's kind of a weird question of like, what is the best question?
Can I throw? Never mind. I'm not gonna do that. I was gonna, just as a joke, I was gonna say, can I throw it through a loophole and be like, what's the best question?
You could say that. You could make that the best question. Make it paradoxical.
Nah.
What is like a question you would like to be asked? You know?
Question that I like to be asked.
It's like, do you want an apple or banana? It's like, ooh, you get fruit. That means, you know.
I like to be asked what I learned today.
Ooh,
it's a good one.
What did you learn today?
Well, nothing. But I shouldn't say that. No, I like to be asked that after school, so I can kind of I remember like coming home. I like to be asked that because I kind of
crystallize some knowledge.
Yeah, and I feel like I've been productive when I can talk about what I've learned.
Yeah. Okay, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
What question do you want to ask the next person?
Oh,
what did you learn today?
That's a good one. I like that.
That might be the best question.
I like that question. Dang, I'm trying to make it like an enjoyable question. Not that
they're usually pretty soft balls. I like the heavy hitting questions as we kind of got into the deep talks, but like
I'm just trying to think of something that's like something that they'll enjoy answering after having such like a long. No, I don't want to say long, but like
I know what you mean though.
Yeah,
it's cognitively intensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What breakfast food aligns with your values?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Hutch.
Yeah,
Real quick, I read Jesse's from a couple podcasts ago. I don't know if he asked you this. It was who should have actually died, Harambe or the parents?
I think he told me that. That's a tough one. Now,
right? I think it's easy.
Well, the parents were very irresponsible. Obviously, I don't want to wish death on either one of them.
Oh.
But like, well,
I do. No, well, I'm kidding.
No. I just think it's ridiculous. Sorry, this isn't really an answer. I think, if I remember correctly, I think they tried to sue the zoo after they let their child fall into the gorilla enclosure.
Oh, do you know if they won?
I don't think so. To my because there are like signs in place that are like, yeah, don't let your kid climb.
Yeah.
And then you have these parents that were probably talking or like on their phones, and then meanwhile their kid's climbing over and falls into the gorilla enclosure.
Do you know how old the kid was?
No, I think he was pretty young though.
By chance, the person that got asked this next, their hometown was in that zoo.
Cincinnati?
Yeah, so they had like a personal connection to it.
Cool. But well, now you know two people from Cincinnati.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah, achievement.
And with kids screaming in the background, thanks everybody. This was Hutch. We're gonna wrap it up.